There was like shootings almost every day.
Es findet an mehreren Orten im Land statt. Deutliche Spuren des gestrigen Schießens. Ein 26-jähriger Mann, angeblich aus der Einwanderergruppe Triligordsbanden, der hier am Tisch saß, wurde in die Schulter getroffen.
Most of the people who died in that war or got hurt was innocent. You don't know how you're gonna react when people is gonna start shoot at you. You know, shooting back while they're shooting at you. That's not something everybody can. The guy who got killed was wearing a bulletproof vest, but apparently not bulletproof against an AK-47. When I was ready to die for something,
for the gang,
that was bullshit.
Yeah,
it was bullshit.
Of course.
If some dude came in like you, sorry to say, looking like you, and was Danish, I would have shot him. No questions asked.
Herzlich willkommen zu einer weiteren Folge Triggered mit meiner Wenigkeit Kassra, der Perser. Heute mit einem super mega spannenden Gast. Wir haben es ja angekündigt, dass wir diesmal uns ein bisschen weiter aufstellen und international gehen. Wir gehen in dieser Episode in Richtung Dänemark. Der ein oder andere, der sich in dieser Szene und dieser Thematik auskennt, weiß, dass die MC-Szene, die Gang-Szene und diese ganzen Auseinandersetzungen auf der Straße im Milieu ziemlich aggressiv und sehr gewalttätig waren, mit sehr vielen Morden, Tötungen, Sprengstoffanschlägen etc. noch sehr viel krasser, als es damals in Berlin war oder auch in Deutschland. Und ich habe heute die Ehre, einen Beteiligten aus dieser Zeit zu begrüßen zu dürfen, und zwar ist es der Abud. Er war damals der Counterpart, der gegen die Hells Angels gekämpft haben, sehr gewalttätig. Es gab viele Schießereien, ich glaube in den Jahren bis Anfang der Mitte bis Ende der 2000er, ich glaube 90 Schießereien, mehrere Tote auf beiden Seiten. Er war Teil der Brothers, die Migrantengang, wie man auf der Straße sagt, bei den Kennex. Die haben gegen die Hells Angels gekämpft und haben regelmäßig auf sie geschossen, haben sich versucht zu töten und natürlich ihr Territorium zu erweitern und auch ein Stück vom Kuchen abzubekommen. Heute ist er nicht mehr aktiv, Gott sei Dank. Er hat den Step rausgemacht, hat ein Buch geschrieben, sehr erfolgreich in Dänemark, hat in einem großen Kinofilm mitgespielt, ist auch präventionstechnisch unterwegs, macht Präventionsarbeit in Dänemark und versucht die Gesellschaft, vor allem die Jugend, auch so ein bisschen aufzuklären und ist heute in Deutschland. Ich freue mich, ihn begrüßen zu dürfen, um so ein bisschen auch seine Geschichte mit euch aufzuarbeiten, wie es da damals abging. Wie gesagt, als Zeitzeuge unverzichtbar und ein absoluter, spezieller Gast. Herzlich willkommen, Abud. Welcome.
Whatever you said.
Whatever you said. Ja, kleiner Claimer vorab noch. Wir werden das Interview auf Englisch führen. Wir werden uns die bestmögliche Mühe geben, es so gut wie möglich zu translaten. Es wird auf jeden Fall mit Untertitel gereleased und gucken wir mal, ob wir das auch dann vielleicht in Audio umsetzen können. Also viel Spaß mit der Folge. Auf geht's. Welcome, Abud.
Thank you.
Thank you for having you here. You're coming to Germany to be a part.
Thank you for inviting me.
Yeah, to be a part of this podcast. It's very special to have you here. I think it's a German premiere to have you here and to share your story, especially this story, Hells Angels, war, brothers, all the gangs, shootings, and all this. Your story, especially from the streets in Denmark, Copenhagen. So I appreciate that very, and thank you to take your time and come here.
Thank you for having me.
It's let's start from the bottom, from the beginning. How did you grow up and in the street from Copenhagen? Then how did you how was your socializing from start?
I started out what I always say as a nice childhood with my mom and my dad, and we had a pretty normal life. You know, I had some issues at school, like concentrating issues, not like problems per se, but somewhere along the line, the difficulties between my mother and father started to escalate, and it ended up in the divorce. And after that, it seemed like some rage was growing inside of me. So I started, after the divorce between my mother and my father, I started growing some hatred, not hatred, but anger towards my father, towards my identity as a Kurdish guy, because I'm half Kurdish, half Palestinian. And in this moment of my life, I met a guy, not a guy, he was a child like me, but he was older than me. He was like 4 years older than me. And this boy started to teach me the ground rules about the gang life, the milieu, the street life. But at that time, I didn't understand the bigger picture of what it actually was I was heading toward. I was stepping into a lifestyle that I actually didn't know at that time um, how brutal it was going to get. And I started out with small criminal activity with this boy. He started to teach me like stealing CDs so we could listen to Tupac and Eminem and hip hop, rap music. So we stole CDs, we stole some sodas, we stole, what boys want and don't have enough money to buy. And it actually ended up me being caught by the police a couple of times. And that mixed with my mom having a difficult time processing the divorce, because it wasn't just a divorce, it was actually my dad remarrying whilst married to my mom. So he, without speaking with with my mom about it, he like went on to his own home country and got a second wife that wasn't actually much older than my oldest sister. There was a couple of years between them, so my mom had a really difficult time processing that fact. So she started having some mental issues. So that mixed with me not taking school that seriously, getting engaged with the police a couple of times, and started to showing this troublemaker um, signals. It actually ended up the government trying to take me and my sisters and my brother away from my mom. They wanted to take us away because of all these issues. It ended up the government saying we're gonna take those kids for for a little of time, and my mom got scared. She got really scared. So she grabbed us and took a ferry to Sweden. There wasn't a bridge at that time as we have today. And from Sweden we took a flight to Syria, and from Syria we uh, like smuggled ourselves. She got us smuggled into Lebanon, not because we couldn't get into Lebanon regularly, but because she wouldn't leave a trace for the government. She was really afraid that they were going to know that we went to Lebanon. So she took this alternate route into her home country. So we stayed in Lebanon for a year without a mom, without a dad. And as I said before, we went from a classic family, mom, dad. We had everything. My dad was a successful hairdresser, barber. So we had everything we wanted, to suddenly my dad got uh, pulled away from me. And then my mom just left us there. And she had to go back to Denmark to like fight against the government. This issue,
On the
she
court.
didn't,
On the
yeah, the
court. Yeah.
court and
Okay.
stuff. She didn't want to just like flee away from the country. She wanted us to come back because it was our country. It was where we grew up, and it's where the best future lay ahead of us. So she left us in Lebanon, and after a year, the government actually withdrew the case. But at that time, we weren't citizens of Denmark, so we lost. I don't know what it's called in English. we lost the right to stay in Denmark because we weren't citizens, so, the green card. So we had to seek it another time, and my sisters got accepted, but I got declined. Apparently because I had a criminal path as a 10-year-old. So I stayed in Syria a whole nother year before they accepted me to come back. So it's a long story because in Lebanon and Syria, I actually, because I am not a Palestinian, my father is Kurdish. So in the Palestinian tent camp, those tent camps the Palestinians have in
It's
Lebanon,
like a refugee camp.
a refugee
Okay.
camp, yeah. In Lebanon, I couldn't go to school. My sisters were born in Lebanon, so they had like Palestinian, not citizenship, but like some kind of identification that they were actually Palestinians. But because me and my brother were born in Denmark, so we had nothing. We had neither Danish citizenship
Or
nor
something
nor
else.
a Palestinian, nothing. We had
Yeah.
nothing. So we couldn't go to school. I couldn't go to school. So I just worked with the family, and I worked for a lot of stuff because my uncle, who we lived with, he was an ambitious man. He was a man who liked starting up businesses and trying out every kind of stuff. So I kept working with him. A lot of things happened in Lebanon and in Syria. We got kicked, we got beaten a lot. Some would actually call it tortured. Um, I don't know if you know it, but in our country, sometimes the dad is like real creative when it comes to beating up their kids. It's like giving a punch or a slap isn't enough. So he got to figure out, how can I punish this kid in a creative way. So once I was actually strapped, like tied in my hands and my feet to a water pipe on the ceiling, and he beat me with a AK-47. So we came back again to Denmark, and this is the time where the anger has pushed, almost taken over. So it felt like it was my whole identity, this anger. Also because the thing people didn't know that time or understand at that time, but is actually something a lot of people can relate to today, is that I grew up under the second intifada of the Palestinians case.
It's beginning 2000.
Yeah, it was in the
2001,
late
2003.
late 90s,
yeah.
and beginning 2000. Yeah,
I remember that at the time I was in Iran, I think so.
Yeah, so that also had something inside of me. You know, there was a lot of anger toward that issue too. So when I came back to Denmark, it was a mix of all this anger, and especially towards the Danish country, the Danish culture, the Danish government, because a lot of bad stuff has been shown to me as a kid, more than the good stuff, you know? And this kid I met that I spoke about a little before, the 13-year-old or 14-year-old who was older than me, he actually indoctrinated me to hate Denmark, being a gang member, listen to hip hop music.
Yeah. Hate the society.
Hate everything, you know? So this was really cooked up when I came back. So I started out like in this, it always starts in small. And I don't know exactly, I've read about a little of German criminal gang history. Not too much, but a little about it. But in Denmark, it's important to understand that whilst we had these biker gangs for a lot of years, it started all the way back in the 70s. And
you mean in Denmark?
In Denmark, yeah. The gangs that I ended up being with actually started in my teenage years. So not that there weren't gangs or gang activity or people who made organized crime that were immigrants, but it wasn't as organized as it is today. Now it's a whole other level. You know, there's a lot of gangs, there is a lot of killings, there is a lot of lines that have been crossed. But the time when I started out in a gang, started being in a gang, there wasn't no gangs to just join. It's not like today.
It was just a story. It was at the bottom from this. Was the.
It's like a teenager,
Yeah.
you know, finding its own identity.
Yeah.
I always say the gang history of Denmark with the ethnicity groups involved was at its teenage peak or adolescence peak when I joined it, while today it's about to be a full grown man, you know, because it's more organized, it's more established. So it's a process that lot of us didn't know what we were going into before it happened, and the lines kept moving, and we just moved with it. And of course, we had these motorcycle clubs that we looked up to. In some ways, not all the way, because whilst we were looking up to the structure, the organizations, we also had a negative thoughts again toward some culture behind it, you know. So I started out like a teenager. I wanted like to make a name for myself, and I wanted to be in a group where people saw me, people liked me, and I was ready to do whatever it took to get this respect, this approval from these guys, my friends. And the lines kept crossing, and it went from like meeting in a park and take a fight, 3 against 3, 5 against 5, to then we brought some weapons with us. It was sticks found on the street, to we actually bought real weapon, tasers and stuff like that, but never knives. But then suddenly knives began coming in.
This would be my question. At that time, you didn't get knives or pistols or guns to shoot or stab anybody.
Not as
it was at that stage.
Yeah, not at 13 and 14-year-old. But the problem is, when you look at it today, you will find 14-year-olds ready, having knives and ready to use them. But at that time, it wasn't established as on the same way as it is today.
This would be sorry, but I want to say this. Today we have, especially in German, I don't know how it is in Denmark, the organized crime, the gangs, and all this organizations around it, using children, 15 years old, 16 years old, to kill guys. We have two cases. One is in Cologne, in the west area from Germany. One little boy, I think, killed in the daily light in front of his mom. One guy in the front of the door from gym, fitness studio. You know, gym. And
is it because you have a different court for the youngsters?
No, it's totally new. At my time, it wasn't so. You know. So
if a 15-year-old if a 15-year-old make a killing,
yeah,
does he get a less sentence?
10 years more, not more.
Not more.
The 10 years is the highest you can get for the young.
In Denmark, we moved that 10, 15 years ago. It was 8 years maximum. If you were under
in Germany,
the age,
it's 10 years max.
Yeah. And in Denmark, it was 8 years maximum if you were under the age of 18, and you couldn't get life. they have moved this.
To
So
how? To much? To how much now?
I think you can get as an adult. Maybe you can't get life, but you can get the maximum is 16 years now. So in that, it doesn't make that sense for the older to use the children. In Sweden, they do it because when they use kids, they only get like 4 or 5 years for a killing. That's why they use them. But in Denmark, it's not to my knowledge that they do it as much when it comes to killing. Instead, they they started using Swedish hitmen. They call people from Sweden who are kids, by the way, 17 years old. A lot of 17 years old, 17-year olds have came to Denmark, either tried to kill or killed in Danish soil, and got money from it. So yeah, it's. But the thing I'm referring to is that at that time, we, the generations who is established gang members today, wasn't that familiar with these things. Not at my age. So it was some lines who kept crossing, and it ended up me having a beef with another group in the same neighborhood, in the exact same neighborhood, like Heusberg. You know, there's a street here, and there's a street like 400 meters away, and we both have our name, and we took it in caps, and
Yeah.
made T-shirts with the name of the street, and we fought each other. And one day, it ended up with me being stabbed with a big knife. Yeah, I got stabbed in in my my leg, and I wanted to get revenge. I wanted to get revenge, but what happened is the elder guys, when they heard about me getting stabbed, we were 4, and the other guys were like 15 guys. And after I got stabbed, they tried to stab one of my friends. But what I did was, instead of laying down and saying I was stabbed, now I'm out, I fought them and actually saved my friend from getting stabbed while I was bleeding. I could have just ran away, but I didn't. And when the elder heard about that, they got interest in me and said, "You're one of us now. Don't go with the guys in your age. Start going with us." And then they started to tell me, "We know you want revenge, but this is not the time for us to go to war against each other. We have to make an alliance because we have a bigger problem now. We have a bigger enemy." And I've heard about that enemy at that time, but just a little. And I knew where the conversation were going. And he said, then, have you heard about something called AK-81? And I said, yeah, I know what they are. I know what they are. I know those are some racist hooligans,
Yeah.
racist, a lot of young ethnical Danish guys who have had some kind of negative encounter with immigrants and have hate toward them, and have been recruited by Hells Angels to kill Muslims, basically.
It
That's
was
what
your thoughts, your opinion
it was
on
my
it.
thoughts, it was
Yeah.
my opinion, it was what I was manipulated to believe at that moment.
Well, wait a second. Before we start the history of Hells Angels and this war against your called the Gang Brothers, we have to figure out how it's a process. Of course, I know that. I was still also a gang member. Hells Angels, you know my story, and everybody outside is looking know my story. But it's a process. It don't start. Begins with some shootings. You said it. Stealing things, social issues, problems home, not present parents. So you stepped in step by step. You stepped in this world, the gangs. So how started this so brutal and this so brutal violence, stabbing and fighting, and you lose the total moral and shooting against each other, another guy and another people, and you wanted to kill somebody.
It is a process like everything else. It's funny because it's not funny, haha funny, but it is funny because the nature of human beings is that everything needs to be trained. You know, you have to work out everything. If you want to be big, you got to go to the gym and work your muscles out, you know? And even studies had show that even if you're a guy who forgets a lot, you can actually train it. You can train your memory so you can get better at memorizing stuff, and you can get better at singing. It's not always stuff that comes natural to you. It's stuff, almost everything you can teach your body to get used to that fact. And it's the same when it comes to violence. Somebody has it in them. Like sometimes now, I don't know what you have in Germany, but in Denmark, we have something called X Factor. This is a music show where
Yeah, we have it. We had it 10 years, 15 years ago on Vox.
sometimes you have an adult who is 40, who have never sung his whole life, suddenly breaks out and gets a career because he has always had, he's a natural, you know? And sometimes you have kids like 7, 8 years old singing better than Madonna, you know? It's natural. But there's also people who would get rejected at 15 years old and 20 years old at X Factor or what it's called, and train, keep going, not giving up. And after 15 years, 20 years, actually break through, because even that you can train it. So in the same way, you will find people who will have violence and brutality easy. So when he tastes it the first time, he's a natural, you know? It's just him. He likes it. And it's not hard for him to go from punching a guy the first day to killing a guy a month after or the second time. Whereas most will have to like get used to that fact, you know, slap the first time, then punching, then, oh, did you see I broke his nose? Then if he uh, breaks some of the teeth on some guy, or he sees a guy scream in some way, maybe he goes home, he throws up, he gets a bad dreams about it, but keeps going, you know? He makes his mind get used to the fact, to the brutality, and someday he ends up being a killer. It's the human, you know.
Yeah, I know that. I had the same process. I can feel it, what you're saying.
Yeah,
It's
for somebody it's a process that's going fast, and for somebody it's a process that takes time. Uh, and for me, it was a pretty normal process, I think.
and you had not another perspective, another you know, that was your view every time. It was my view at my time. I had only this view. After that, I stepped in this world. I had only people around me that had the same view, and the whole day we had this perspective, you know. So becomes normal,
Yeah.
and the lines that you have as a human being, I said from God, or everybody's believing what else. We have empathy, humanity inside our hearts and also our souls. So you put it by more and more by side, your humanity and empathy, and you get brutal as fuck, and you're ready to do everything.
Yeah, it's indoctrination.
Yeah,
It
it's a
is
classic.
indoctrination.
Yeah.
Like anything else, you know? Um, yeah, and also it's the more you get hurt, the more it also mixes up with anger. It's not only that you are with people, it's also that you're with people who normalizes this, and also you get messed up by, you know, some guys. Then it eats you up, you know, you start being angry, you want revenge. And revenge can at first be like, okay, this guy, he spat on me. Uh, I'm gonna piss on him, you know? Not necessarily you want to kill him because he spat on you, but someday, the lines keep crossing and people get more cynical. And it's crazy because I've seen people come into this world not intentionally. Like they have a friend that comes and then he starts like smoking just one or two puffs on a joint, um, to go from this school kid who has ambitions, good ambitions. He want to take an education. He wants a good job. He want to be somebody in the real society. To suddenly you hear this guy just killed another one.
In Germany, we have, of course, not everybody agrees our opinion, but we have also people outside, they're looking at us, or normal people on the streets criticizing me, people like me and you, they saying, yeah, in Germany we said, yeah, I would say, ich bin da reingerutscht, ich bin da reingewachsen. I was grown up into it. It was a process. It was not a decision when I became a teenage boy. I want to be a gang member. I want to be a Hells Angel. It is a process because of your way in the past, from the childhood to the teenage time, and all this stuff, and all this things happen by side in your process to become a grown up man. So it's easier to say from outside. Yeah, that everybody knows when you decided to join a gang or Hells Angels, it's for sure something happened. You go to jail or kill somebody, or something bad happened. Just don't cry and take it, and take all this stuff. But I said it's easy, of course. Yeah, it's easy when you're not emotionally touched in this situation and you're not inside these shoes and you inside this world. It's easy to say from outside, yeah, you have to know it. It's, and everything was for sure this is coming into this situation, you go to jail, blah, blah, blah. I said, yeah, of course, it's an opinion. You have that, but I was the gang member. I was into it. And I say, when you're inside something, a relationship or something else, you have a different view, or not a view, to see everything and to make it, to get it and understand it in which direction it goes. From outside, it's easy to say. It is obviously in which direction this is going to become. But I totally agree with your.
I can actually come with a great example, so people can understand exactly how to get in touch with understanding the fact that you're talking about. Also, how the place you grow up and the people you grow up with can have an influence on what you become. So let me give you an example. You have two neighborhoods, all right? One that is middle class and one who is the lowest class. In the lowest class, no, let's start with the middle class. In the middle class, you have 10 boys, group of 10 boys. And because it's a middle class, 9 of these boys get a bike when they turn 12, 13. They get a bike, a regular bike. So they can drive to school and go back from school and stuff like that. And when they're off school, they can bike together on trips and stuff like that. But one guy, he's just a little below the middle class. So his father can't buy him a bike. All right. So he goes and steals a bike because he want to be like the others. He want to be like the others. He want to go on bike rides with them. He feels left out when they walk without him. And sometimes they, because kids are kids, go like, you're poor, you don't have a bike. They look down on him, you know? So he steals a bike.
Children are 100% honestly.
Yeah.
In Deutschland, we say, sorry, Kindermund tut Wahrheit kund. It's, you know, it means normal child, every time speaking the truth in his totally pure thoughts.
He speaks his mind, yeah.
He speaks his mind in his thoughts.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So he steals a bike. The reaction from the 9 kids when he comes with a bike and says, I just got this bike, they will ask him, where did you get this bike from? Because they know his situation. They know he can't afford a bike. So he says, I stole it. Their reaction will be, how could you do that? You're a thief. Get away from here. We don't want that. Because they can't understand it. So you know what happens to this kid? He doesn't grow up to be a criminal. He stops. He never steals again because he didn't get his action didn't get accepted in his milieu.
Yeah, and had to take the responsibility from this from his child friends. Yeah.
So he actually grows up and never steals again.
We have in German a Sprichwort. We said, zeig mir deine Freunde, ich weiß, wer du bist und wie du dich auch entwickelst. It's Umfeld. We say in German Umfeld. All the people that they surround you makes your process in which direction you get your way in life.
Yeah, exactly.
You know?
And I'm going to come to that. So let's go to this lower class. Now you have 1 kid. 9 of them are lower class, but 1 of them is just about to be in the middle class. So his father goes and buy him a used bike because he can afford it. So he's the only kid having a bike. And all the 9 kids wants a bike. So 1 of them goes and steals a bike and comes back. So now there's 2 having a bike, right? The others is going to ask him, where did you get that bike from? Because, again, they know he can't afford it. And he says, I stole it. You know what's going to happen? Another one is going to go and steal one. And a third one is going to go and steal one. Oh, he got it for free. He just had to break a lock. How did you do it?
Tell me, how did you do it? I want to do it again.
Exactly.
The same, yeah.
So they push each other toward criminal activity. And that's actually basically how you get what we in the government in Denmark call ghettos.
Yeah. We say, yeah.
That's how you do it.
100%
because
for sure.
Then first it's a bike.
Yeah.
Then it's a motorbike. Then it's a car. Then it's hash. And then
it's prostitution.
And then
money, shootings.
And suddenly there's another group of children 2 streets away who's in the same process. And they meet at some local football tournament, and one look at the other. And because these kids, when they come from this social, this lower class, usually there's also beating because the father is stressed out. He can't provide for his family. He can't give his kid's always, Baba, why can't I get a bike? Baba, why can't I this? Why this? Why this? So shut the fuck up, you know? So he also grows up with violence, and you know, all these factors makes them, when they meet each other at a tournament, this team loses. How do they react? By violence, because they're mad, they're sad.
Yeah, this situation made also pressure on this child.
Exactly.
You know?
So they ended up fighting, and the fighting ended up with taking a bottle or a glass, throw it, oh, you did this, now I'm going to stab you. And that's basically how organized crime began.
Starts from the bottom. I always say, I make prevention work at schools with some other colleagues, and when we in front of children or school kids, we always say, or especially when we are talking to the parents or the teachers, we say everything starts from the bottom in the childhood. So open your eyes, talk to the people, talk to the children, talk to the parents, and make sure to connect each other when they have problems at home, because nobody's so close to the child after the parents than the teacher, because they have a long way together, in the school, year for year. Of course, they switch when they go to another school. They switch, but then, uh, yeah, but they are more than a year by his side. All these children, and go their way. This
Yeah,
this section
sometimes
this section of life with them.
Yeah.
So they have some options to prevent them or teach them good things, some other views, or help them when they come from a not good home, have some problems with the parents and all this stuff. It's important. Yeah, let's start the time, the gang situation in Denmark. Now everybody knows that you have a lot of gang activities to this day, at your time, at my time, and still to this day in Denmark. And before your my time, we were active in the gang on the streets. We have it started with Hells Angels. With Jørgen Nielsen, everybody knows him. In Denmark, he's one of the famous Hells Angels member of all time. He's a killer, stabbing. He was nearby killing himself from another gang. We had Bullshit at his time, the first Nordic biker war, Bandidos, Satudara, after Satudara, Comanches, Your Gang Brothers, then Loyal to the Family, LTF, then the other one, I don't know the name, you say it, you told me before we started the record, Plassingbrook, what is the name? The other gang, immigrant gang.
It is what became Loyal to Familia, but it's Blågårdsplads.
Blågårdsplads.
It's a street name.
It sounds a little bit Latin.
Yeah.
Latin gangs from, I don't know, M13 or so.
Yeah, but it's actually the street name, because the brothers, we called ourselves brothers, but we came from a street called Mjølnerparken. I don't know if you know who Mjølner is. Mjølner is the hammer of Thor.
Oh, okay. The Viking histories.
Yeah.
So
Thor had a hammer.
Yeah, of course.
And
Chris Hemsworth.
Yeah, the place, it's called Outer Nørrebro. Nørrebro is the neighborhood I grew up in, and the Outer Nørrebro is actually a place where all the streets are called after the Nordic mythology. So you have Thor's Thor Street, you have Odin Street, Nana Street, Freja Street, Mjølner, and stuff. So Mjølnerparken was our place, and on the other side of Nørrebro, in the other end, you had Blågårdsplads, but it's the same neighborhood.
But different gangs.
Yeah.
Different areas.
Areas, but same area, but different streets, actually.
Yeah.
Because Nørrebro is tiny in when you compare it to Kreuzberg, for example. And Blågårdsplads actually means the Blue Gardens Square. Okay. That's what it's called. So it's BGP for that, and they turned out to be make Loyal to Familia later on.
LTF, short name.
As I said before, it's a process. Now we've made some examples on how that process became. It's actually funny. Real quickly, in Denmark, it goes all the way back, because when you look at the modern history of the gang activity, if you read about it, they will say it started out with Bullshit.
And Hells Angels too, of course.
And Hells Angels, but Hells Angels came at the time after Bullshit, actually.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah.
In the end of Bullshit's time, Hells Angels came. Before that, they were called the Union, because it was multiple motorcycle clubs who got together against Bullshit. Bullshit were actually the strongest at that time. But when these guys, they got together, they were more ready to be more violent. And Jønke were one of the front figures and showed the road. him and another guy called Blondie, they made a whole new path. And even though bullshit was actually outnumbering them and had Christiania, who is like a haven for
Drugs,
hash selling,
marijuana,
only hash. Now it's another thing,
Yeah.
but at that time it was
Yeah.
only hash. And even though they were sitting on it, they ended up losing.
This is drug selling place for hash.
Yeah.
Some people out our audience,
No, everyone in Europe should know about Christiania.
Yeah, explain it.
But
it's important. Of course, it's important because I was there 2013. I saw it. There were 4 entries, and the 4 entries was secured by my ex-brothers from the Nomads. And I talked to one guy, and he showed me his gun under the table. He was alltid allzeit bereit. Alltid is auf Danish allzeit bereit. And AK-81, this is the name, the short name AK-81, and alltid klar. And they secured the whole area because that was their
they were sitting on
the food table from the time. Yeah.
And let's go a little bit more back.
It's a lot of money in this game.
And to go further back, it's an old military base.
Okay.
It's an old military base who got abandoned, and then the hippies started being here and taking some of these houses. And the hippies were the first who started, this marijuana era. And then the bikers saw a possibility of making money. And then it started out like that, So if you go all the way back, it was actually just the hippies who started living here, having marijuana to own use. And then while marijuana became more and more hyped in Denmark, it started like being a concentrated place. And up until the early zeros, it was actually a place where you wouldn't have problem as a normal citizen going into Christiania, buying hash and sitting and smoking it. It was first after the middle of the zeros where the police and the government started saying, now we're going to go after the people too. So if you, as a regular citizen, go inside buying a joint and sit and smoke it, you can get a fine. You will get a ticket,
Really?
But before that, you could have like 2 or 5 grams on you, and the police will let you go.
They doesn't care. Yeah.
They were just after the dealers,
Okay.
But they just like kept on fighting against it. Sorry.
No problem.
It's the Durham you gave me earlier.
Yeah.
Anyways, but that's the story about Christiania, of course, but it's because I made a documentary, actually. If somebody can English, I think there's some substitutes to it on HBO Max, where we actually go into the history of especially Hells Angels establishment in Denmark, how it all began. You can watch it on HBO Max, because with Hells Angels, when they fought this war against bullshit and they destroyed them.
I know. One question before we start the history, the war between the 2 motorcycle gangs. I know the story, but it's crazy to hear it from you, the Danish perspective. Why they started the war? Jørgen Nielsen, ist einer der bekanntesten Hells Angels Europa, ist mittlerweile nach 40 Jahren out in bed standing rausgeschmissen. I said after 40 years membership, they kicked him out in bed standing. He lived secretly in some areas. I don't know, Norway, I don't know. He write books and now he's a politician. But at that time, he became one of the famous and more violent guy in Europe. He was the first killer. He killed the president from bullshit, but they said it became, the war started because of this. They had some issues, started on the low level, start talking trash, bullshit each other. Makrile was talking bullshit about them. They said, we are Danish, why you bring the American organization here to be a Danish motorcycle club and bullshit. And they said, no, fuck you and blah, blah, blah. But I think, when they talk about, you have to talk about honestly, it was about Christiana. I think it was one of the main reason the whole war escalated so brutally, so much violent. With, I don't know, I think the Hells Angels at that time killed six members from the bullshit, and after that they surrendered. But I think that this was the real reason to start the war and killed a lot of guys from them. Is it right or is the wrong
I don't know.
information?
It could be, because usually when it comes to war, it's pretty impossible to figure out exactly the intentions behind it. Up until this day, you will hear people say the war in Iraq was because of the mass destruction weapon, and that the war against Iran just recently was because of the nukes. And Iran is saying, we don't have nukes. We're making a whole lot of things. So who's the liar and who is not the liar?
I would say the truth is in the middle. I think so.
Maybe it is, and maybe it's actually on one side, and maybe it's on the other. It's hard for us to actually know. But when that is said, the one thing is not going to let out the other. So if the problem was this "you called me bitch" and stuff, that was the initial problem. That doesn't make Christiania interesting. But you gotta understand, it's important to highlight the fact that when it started, this conflict between bullshit and the union, there was no Hells Angels at that time. It was a multiple motorcycle gangs that were together, and not even gangs, motorcycle clubs at that time. It was the thing these uh, these groups will say they are. You know, when you confront them today, they will say, we're just a motorcycle club.
Every time, I
We're
know
not
it.
criminals
Yeah.
and stuff like that. At that time, that was more the true at that time. And you had a couple of guys who were violent, who came from broken homes and stuff like that. And then as we said before, it was a process, you know? But it started out with those guys actually having an interest for motorcycles, but also looking up to what they saw and heard about in America, Hells Angels, and those other clubs, you know? So when this conflict started, there was no Hells Angels, and bullshit was really sitting strongly on Christiania. And you gotta understand that Christiania wasn't a place you could just take at that time, because the people who lived in Christiania had a more strong standing at that time. So even though if we would strong arm Hells Angels back in the zeros, the Christianites, we call it in Danish Christianitter, wouldn't allow us to just take over. So you couldn't just take it, if you know what I mean.
Yeah, of course, I understand.
So it wasn't just like today, something you could just grab and
take it for your own and make your business.
Yeah, because it has to do with people, a culture, a culture with a lot of years behind, you know? So I wouldn't say it was solely for Christiania, but that Christiania would come as a bonus afterwards, or that maybe some of the politicians in these groups pushed the conflict to escalate more so they could like earn. But when it comes to the fact that they yelled at each other, called each other names, that's true. there is a video of Makan on live stream calling out names, you know.
With his band here.
Yeah,
and
exactly.
He was still a young guy, man. He was not a grown.
He was 24.
24. He's just.
Yeah, he was a kid.
He was a kid. Yeah,
Yeah.
crazy.
And it's
also,
funny.
Jönke was also a kid at that time.
And it's funny because when I was a kid, when I was a teenager, I saw them as grown men and old men, not grown men, but old men. Seriously, there was a time where I thought about myself not living, not outlive 25. I was like, when I'm 25, I'm dead. That's the end. So 20 and 25 and 30, in my world, when I was a teenager in my late teenage years, it was like being 70 and 80. But today it's funny because Jünge is an old man today, you know? But when I think about it, at that time he was a kid.
Crazy.
Because now I'm 35, you know?
Yeah.
And Makan was a kid.
Yeah.
He died well too young, you know? But the problem is that's the life they chose. But that we're gonna get into that. Unfortunately, even though they're kids, you know, because I struggled with the fact in my late time in the gangs that someday I would be so old that I would find myself either try or actually kill a kid because in a blink of an eye, I went from 15, 16 to 23. And I was like, shit, the youngsters, the guys who are now coming after me are 17, 18, 19, they're kids, you know? So if I would have been there for 5 years more or till this day, like most of them could actually almost be my kids. You know, my daughter is 13 years old. She's turning 14 here next month. So it's crazy how fast it goes and how the thoughts and the views on things in life in general changes in time, you know?
It's at the beginning, we said it, it's a process.
It is a process, exactly, because and as the same process has in my situation turned in a positive way that I now look back at it in regret and in disgust, actually. And I can't imagine how many of the things I did at that time, it was not just acceptable and it was actually good. It was an honor, you know. It was the greatest shit. And I looked up at people making these kind of actions, you know,
to prove everybody you're a guy, you're the man, you're tough enough to do these things, to make shootouts and everything.
Yeah. Yes and no, because it's not always that simple. You know, it's not always that simple. It is that, but also it is, you know, also mixed with hatred, with anger, with love.
But
Love
wait,
too.
when you go, we are stepping too much now. Let us be in the history line, okay? When you now you're a member from the brothers, I think so, or the gang in your neighborhood. I don't know. The brothers are still founded or exist at that time, but later they came for sure. When you started, and no, let's start here. When you first heard about the Hells Angels, what is this? Who are they? At that time they were the strongest guys on the street. That was the main guy. They had the hands all over the business on the streets. I know that. Now, to this day, it's totally different. They just are destroyed. I know I have a lot of contact in Denmark, but at that time, in your time, my time, especially, there was the motherfuckers on the street.
It's
So when
actually,
you heard first time, when you heard about them and you had contact and recognized them as a main part of the street, and you have to deal with them. And
it actually starts all the way back when I was a little kid, because the big Nordic war, the big Nordic biker war, was at a time where I was just starting in school, and at that time, I lived I lived a long way from school, so I had to take multiple buses every morning to get to school, and that was at a time where papers, the paper avis, what it's called, uh, was it's not the same as today. Every news comes on the social media. At that time, it was a paper, and you had
Okay,
these at
okay.
the kiosk, at
Okay,
the
on
shops.
newspaper.
Yeah,
Yeah,
you
I
had these
understand.
newspaper stands
Yeah.
telling you the headlines, and I remember those headlines. I actually remember when these clashes came. I remember some of the headlines. A rocket launcher was fired, people got killed, and I actually remember how the media portrayed it. There was once a problem between one of these groups. I think it was a fraction between some Arab guys and bandidos, and how they wrote Arabs, Arabs, and it bothered me. You know how they made it like there was a clear difference between the way they wrote about Danish criminals and criminals with another ethnicity, and that bothered me at that time. And also, it got me a scared picture of Hells Angels at that time. All this war between Bandidos and Hells Angels, it scared me. I was 6 years old, and I heard about killing and shooting at the airport. And I was like, oh shit, it's the same place we go every year to travel outside the country,
Vacation, yeah.
It could have been us. So it started all the way at that time, and it's important to take this in context because it plants a seed in your head, a scare, something to be scared of. So when I grow up, there's something inside me that want to challenge this fear. I hope it makes sense, because everybody has to challenge the childhood trauma in some way. And there's positive challenges and there is negative challenges. And this, no matter how regular people will accept this fact or not, I think this had to do with it. This, when I grew up, knowing, not thinking about it, but it was like having this childhood trauma, this fear, and trying to challenge it. Not that it was because of that, but that it was also because of that. So that's one of them. And the second one was that I was taught this, when you are a part of a group, this 13-year-old that I told you about before, he taught me 3 ground rules that I took with me. And these ground rules started also like advancing, build up. So he taught me urban planning for Lille. At that time, I lived another place, not Nørrebro. It was a place called Ama. It's an island.
I know this.
Yeah.
We had a side rock at Amma.
Yeah.
A couple of guys from our charter.
Yeah, and in this place, there was a big place called urban planning. And he taught me like UP for life. And that means when somebody comes to our place, you're going to stand and fight. Don't run away. And he taught me also that you can never speak no snitching. He said just no snitching. And that means no speaking to the police, no speaking to the teachers, no speaking to mom. And that was also a process changing. So urban playing for life meant at that time, if 5 guys come and we are only 2, I stand and fight, take a beating, and that's it. I don't run away from my friend. I take my beating, and it's gonna hurt. So be it. But later on, it was like, you're gonna have to be stabbed.
Really?
You're gonna have to be broken. and you're gonna have to offer a lot more, and that was the first fact. And later on, you're gonna have to be ready to die for it.
Or go to jail.
Yeah, the fact that women playing for life changed from stand and fight to at some point die. No, the jail part is the other one. Never snitch. That went from don't speak to your mom, don't speak to your dad, don't speak to a teacher, to don't speak to anybody outside of the group. And sometimes even inside the group, don't speak, And if it comes to it, you're going to have to be ready to take life in prison because you don't speak ever. And the third ground rule was at that time, and the fun part is I didn't know it. I didn't know these guys, but it was fuck Biggie P. Biggie P is what I told you about, the gang from Nabu, the street.
Okay, yeah.
And that was because Biggie P has been known since the 90s. Whereas Mjølnerparken, the place I grew up in afterwards, came up with our age. But in Biggie P, they had guys who are in like Jynke and Sandberg's age, maybe a bit younger, but between us and them. So there was a big difference at that place, but not the other places, But even though I was a kid, and Ama is a long way from, the chapter in Svanevej?
No.
Have you been in it?
Bandidos?
No,
Hells Angels.
Hells Angels in Nabu.
Yeah, well, no. I know Copenhagen and Nomads very well at the time.
Nomads is in Ama, right?
I think so, yeah. I don't know. I don't know the district. I just have the view.
I think it's the Copenhagen.
Yeah, of course.
Yeah, so it's the difference between the places where I grew up was in Ama, and the other places all the way. And still, he taught me that this was an enemy, and I had to say fuck them and not be afraid of them. And this also was a process that changed with time. The enemy picture, the fact that you're going to be ready to have an enemy at all cost and all time. So even though I didn't know these things when I was 9 years old, it stayed with me all the way, even till this day. Somehow I still are under those rules because there's something I can't speak about. When me and you make a podcast, maybe you're going to ask me some questions. I'm going to say, I can't say that. I can't say that. I'm still under those rules. So it's crazy how this guy, when I was 9 years old, he was 13. He didn't even know what it was he was teaching me, But this is basically the ground rules for this milieu in all.
I know that.
But it changes,
Yeah, I would say I'd call it indoctrination.
It is indoctrination.
But you don't have to be, you stepped out from this world. You have no responsibility of nothing, just for your own life and your future.
Yeah.
So nobody can say to you, don't talk about this or talk about that. It's up to you.
Oh, I still live in my old neighborhood. So there is
of course, I understand it.
Yeah.
I understand and respect that. Of course, I understand that.
There is a risk.
Different situation like me.
Yeah, there is a risk. It's not that I can't talk about it. I can talk about whatever I want.
Yeah, I understand.
It depends on how much I'm willing to risk, you know? And I'm not willing to risk that, depends on what the price is,
For what, yeah.
In the end, I have taken an oath toward myself. I'm gonna fight this.
Yeah. Against the gangs.
I'm gonna fight the gangs. In my own perspective, in a respectable way, Not that I respect them, but as much as possible without there's no reason to go out and call them names and say they're son and they're such and they're such, as we talked about yesterday, keep it on some kind of level that makes sense. There's no need to go and take your hand into some kind of nest. But I'm gonna fight it even, and the only reason I'm going to say this out loud here is because I know my wife is not going to listen to this podcast.
Yeah. Okay.
But what I can say in front of her and in Danish medias, that is that when I was ready to die for something
For the gang.
that was bullshit,
Yeah.
it was bullshit.
Of course.
And it was disgusting. I'm ready to die now, the other way around. So if it makes sense, let them fucking kill me. Because there was one time where I got called up by some, because
But
of something I
let
made.
us understand it. Let us we step too fast to forward. Let us be in the history line. I understand everything, and we get later back to this this perspective and your view and your thoughts. But let us in the history line stay and talk about
where did we go from?
Now we are in the.
Where did I hear about from Hells Angels?
Yeah, where you started.
Let's get back to that.
Yeah, let's back to that and how.
So I heard
you started
about
you recognize Hells Angels as this. As who they are on the street. Wait a second, as they are who they are on the street at the time, and the process. You are still, and you get the brothers member, the counterpart against them, and fight, and not fight. You had a really outrageous war against them. I recognize it. At that time, I was on the street in Copenhagen, and the brothers said to me, "Don't go anywhere without us. Don't go anywhere with your color, also with Hells Angels symbols. Don't wear your patch because we don't know the enemy. They don't wear colors. We just know they're immigrants, and they kill us everywhere and shooting us everywhere and stabbing us everywhere. They're very afraid. I know." Your guys were very close to destroy the Hells Angels at that time, especially the Nomads. I know that because I knew Brock, I knew Jönke, I knew Swent. Brock is dead. Swent is flew and betrayed Hells Angels to run to another club, Satulara, then Comanches. We can talk about them later. So let us talk how the war started and what happened in this war. I know you had nearby 19 in this year, in that year's 19 shootouts, drive-bys, stabbings, 87 against each other. A lot of people get killed and hurt. A lot of guys are still in jail from that time. So tell us, me and the people outside, what happened there, how they started, and how this escalated, and what happened.
Yeah, the story about it is actually quite long. And as I said before,
you can explain. We have time.
Yeah, it's never as obvious. Like you asked before, wasn't it about Christenia, the war between bullshit and Hells Angels? It's funny because in this war, there was something about it. Because to the public and to us, the frontline soldiers, we were told something else than what the real intentions behind that war was. And that's what I'm actually disgusted by. But what we were told at that time is Hells Angels is Nazis. They hate Muslims. They hate everything. They have no Africans allowed in the club, no immigrants allowed in the club, only white. And they showed us how Hells Angels are in other countries to give us a picture of an enemy that hates us, because the people who were our people knew what we were disgusted by, what we were infuriated by. You know, the fact that we were being like, had a feeling of being a second citizen in our own home country, because it's difficult to tell a little kid, you're not Danish, you're not German, whilst he has been born here, he speaks German, he have never had anything else
to do with
with his own country. Yeah, his father speaks that language, he speaks it too, but he speaks German better. That's it.
Yeah.
And his culture is actually a mix between his heritage from his own country and the German. It's a fact, you know? It's a modern German or Danish culture.
In Germany, we say multicultural.
Yeah, but it's even that is wrong to say. It is just modern. So it's new. So what makes you angry when people say it's not what you are another thing? And kicking into that anger is what they did.
The older guys.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because they told us these are racist and we hate racists. Why do we hate racists? A simple thing that wasn't intentional, as when I went to school and Martin eller Jørgen asked teacher, how come Abud don't eat pork? And not because she had bad intentions, but the way she said, that's because he's different.
The teacher was the answer from the teacher.
It's not because she meant something, but she was like
ignorance. Yeah.
It's ignorance. Yes, exactly. And it's the truth. It is because I'm different, because I'm a Muslim. It's because he's different. But that makes something inside me. Why am I different? I'm not real Danish. So it starts there, and then you add on to it. In my case, this guy I told about before, the 13-year-old, added to it. Police hates us. The government hates us. And at that time, the right wing started to come really up.
In the politicians,
yeah, the right wing politicians started to come up. So it was a mix of all this, and then they start recruit hooligans, because in that case they did the same. Hells Angels did the same,
AK-81 at the time,
as what was did to us. So they brought some kids who also had hate, who also had a lot of anger in them, and they made us fight each other. It was crazy.
So why started they?
So let me tell you what the real reason was, even though it wasn't what I fought for. The real reason was Hells Angels were sitting strong on Copenhagen ever since the fight in the 90s. They made a deal, and they made like Sykes-Picot in Northern Africa.
Crossline.
They made it in
red
Denmark.
lines.
This is yours, Bandidos. This is Hells Angels. This is Bandidos. This is Hells Angels. And we were in Hells Angels country. The strongest immigrants were in Hells Angels land, if you can call that, on the street. And Hells Angels knew that these guys has to be dealt with. Either you kill them or destroy them or make them your bitches, or you give them something. And what I have read about, and the history, the way I see it, is that Hells Angels gave them carrots. We say that in Danish.
Pieces.
De giver dem gulerødder, give them a carrot. Such as not holding them close without making an enemy of them. So they made them go make incasso. If someone owes you money, they sell it to them. You do this, do that.
Go take it.
Yeah. And give them.
In Germany we say, sie haben euch Krümel gegeben.
Yeah. The problem was
pieces from cake.
Yeah, the problem was, what Hells Angels failed to understand is that it was a matter of time that they had to give a place at the table. Otherwise, they would grab it. And that's basically it. So Hells Angels wouldn't give a place at the table. So you have Hells Angels sitting here and saying, this is our table. You can be in the same room as us. You can eat the same food as us. But you won't get a place here. This is our table. This is Hells Angels' table. And they did the same with Bandidos at that time, And this is where they fail, because this wasn't an enemy coming from outside like Bandidos was. So you were able to fight them off in the big Nordic biker war. It was different. Here you have some guys in your backyard. They're growing up in your backyard, So it's Napo. You can't throw them out because it's hundreds of families, and it's government granted, So they're growing up inside of your country, if you can say that.
Yeah, you're in this area. And
it's your area. You
yeah.
can't just throw them out. They're grown up. You have to give them something. And they kept insisting on, no, we'll do it like this until the clashes started. And
when started? Who started the clashes?
That's what I'm telling you. The thing I heard, what ignited it, was that suddenly these guys from Blågårdsplads, not us, because Blågårdsplads, as said, was older than us, so it started there. They started like demanding a place at the table, metaphorically, you know? Not because they wanted to be Hells Angels. That's not what I'm saying. It's pretty important that I don't say that. But, you know, get a piece of the cake. A real piece of the cake, if you can say that. But what I understood was it was a mix of this, not giving them a good piece of the cake, plus the way Hells Angels is internally. You have, like, when you are, a full member, the prospects have to respect everything he says. That's what I understand.
And
So,
has everything to do what they say.
yeah. So if he can speak down to a guy who's under him and he has to accept it. Is that correctly understood?
Yeah. Normally, a prospect doesn't give order anyway, down or up. He has to take order and take care of himself to the road to the full pitch member.
Okay, so what I understood is that Hells Angels looked at these guys as under them.
So, who started the war? Which action, which situation started the war, and which side? Who kills who, or who stabbed or shoot or beat which side? What happened?
Yeah, I'm coming to that. The thing I just want to continue on was that you had this issue with Hells Angels not granting, like giving a bigger piece of the pie and access, and also the internal way of behavior inside of Hells Angels towards its own members. What I understood and what I have heard is that that was the same way they had against these guys, you know, what others would call immigrants. And that ended up with actually a stabbing. So apparently there was this full-blooded Hells Angels member at a club. One time he had said something to a young guy from one of these groups, from this area, and this guy wouldn't take shit from him and stabbed him. And here Hells Angels knew that they had to deal with this group in another way. And then the manipulation started from both sides. We were taught that Hells Angels were racist, they hated us, and probably there was some true about it. I'm not denying that, because I know for a fact that some of them was like that. And the other way around, Hells Angels brought these young boys from other parts of the country who had had bad encounters in their own life, ethnic Danish guys, and told them the same. Actually, Jørgen Junge made a whole manifest about it, the Jackal Manifest. And it sparked hatred in the younger. So we were told that it was about hatred, about the counterpart hating us, and that we were like the victims, or soon to be victims, and had to stand up for ourselves and fight. And the other way around was the same, you know. But in fact, it appears that it was about older guys playing politicians on street level and moving us moving us young people like pieces in a checkers game, you know, strategically.
Like check.
So like check. So let's go a little bit forward. I already heard about Hells Angels when I was a teenager, on different ways. It would be hard not to hear about them growing up where I did. And also, sometimes you meet a guy, a boy. When I was a boy myself, his father or uncle is a Hells Angels, and suddenly everybody was afraid of this guy, this little boy. So I've heard about them, and me personally, I had something inside me that was, I don't automatically fear or respect people. It's just me personally. So just because you are a member of something, you don't get my respect or my fear automatically. Not that I thought about that when I was a teenager, but in my later years, I know that everybody can bleed and everybody can get cracked down. And I think most of my friends had the same mentality. So fast forward, I got stabbed.
From Hells Angels?
No, from a guy from Blågårdsplads, actually.
Okay.
And one of the oldest from them and one of the oldest from my hood met with me and told me, "Have you heard about AK-81?" And I said, "Yes, I've heard about them," because I think it was almost a year before the war actually started, if not a year and a half, that we started to hear about something called AK-81 being made. So I've heard about them, and I said yes. And then they said a war is about to break out, and it's going to be big. And we need to stand together as Muslims, as immigrants, against these racists, fascists, who hates us, who want to kill us, who want to kill our mothers, they said all kind of stuff. So I was left with the choice personally that either I would say, no, I need my revenge, and Muslims are going to get killed internally, because both of them actually showed me a gun and said,
in this
talk, they said, you're not just going to go and stab this guy, because this guy here is going to protect him. And he has a lot of guys behind him who's going to protect him. And we're not just going to let them, my older said, and our hood is not going to let them come after you. So if you stab him and take your revenge, these guys is going to come after you. And if these guys are going to come after you, we're going to help you go after them. And it's going to be a bloodbath. So it was basically, I'm going to choose between Muslims and immigrants killing each other, or us standing united and go in a war against Hells Angels and AK-81. So I said, I'll leave it. Let us put an end to it, but just for now. Because I remember I said, I'm going to take my revenge someday. I'm not going to forget this. It wasn't just a little stab. It was a motherfucking knife, you know? I think it was 12, 13 centimeters long and 4 to 6 centimeters wide. And I got operated. It wasn't just like a few stings. And my mom knew, and it was, I got a lot of anger there. I had. So suddenly it just like started. You know, we heard about clashes in the city, you know,
against each other,
against AK-81.
Yeah.
So we heard stories about either the other area seeing those guys, AK-81 in the city and clashing, and sometimes another area going to a AK-81 member's home and trying to get him out, and actually shot at him while he was at home, and he shot back. So there was a lot of shooting and trying to stab and runovers and beatings before the kill, because this kill is the kill that everyone today says sparked and started the war. The problem with that is, being inside of it, I know that the war started a long time before, and that this was just a combination, and this was just a result of
a mix of everything.
It was inevitable, you know. It was going to happen someday. We knew it, and it did. But the media will say this like nothing happened before, and they just come and shot at us, and then the war started. It wasn't like that. It was a process. But when they came to an area called Tingbjerg and shot with an AK-47 towards some young people who actually were ready, the guy who got killed was wearing a bulletproof vest, but apparently not bulletproof against an AK-47, and he had a gun on him. So they shot, and this is a problem. I don't know if you know it, in this milieu, that people often take things for granted. Put this way, if I wear a gun, I'm safe. I'll put a bulletproof vest, I'll have a gun. But my friend, you're 18 years old, 19 years old. You have never been in a shootout before. You don't know how you're going to react when people is going to start shoot at you. And most of those guys don't know it until it happens. So they talk the talk, you know, everybody can come. But when the shooting starts, everybody throws themselves, even the guys with guns. Not because they're afraid, because it's human nature, you know. You have to, even, we spoke about training before, you know, soldiers don't just go to war, they get training, you know. And even soldiers who have training sometimes panic when shooting starts, you know, when crossfire starts. It took me, for example, I think it was the 4th time when a shooting happened that I could return fire.
You shot back.
Yeah, the 4th time. The first 3 times I threw myself down. I was like, fuck, man. And hoped, you know, and like sat waiting for him to come close, you know, just hoping, or waiting for them to stop and then shoot back afterwards. But, you know, shooting back while they're shooting at you, that's not something everybody can. So it happened. He died, and the anger sparked, and then it went crazy. Then there was like shootings.
What happened then?
There was like shootings almost every day.
Es findet an mehreren Orten im Land statt. Deutliche Spuren des gestrigen Schießens. Ein 26-jähriger Mann, angeblich aus der Einwanderergruppe Trilligordsbanden, der hier am Tisch saß, wurde in die Schulter getroffen.
Ja, ich weiß, wie es ist. Sie schießen auf mich und wir werden mit einer AK zurückschießen.
Was bedeutet es, wenn ihr zurückschießt?
Nun, es wird hart zurückgeschossen. Das ist nicht lustig. Ich habe nicht nur 1 oder 2 Menschen getroffen. Ich habe alle getroffen.
Was passiert, wenn ihr euch an den Angreifern rächt?
Wir müssen sie alle ausschalten und dann sehen wir, was zu tun ist.
And it was like, you didn't even have to be AK-81 or Hells Angels. If you just have some kind of relation to them, making money, being seen with them, and some way,
connection,
yeah, we will go after you. And the other way around was the big. They also had the problem, as you stated before, you said it with your own words, that they said it to you. They didn't know who we were. So our problem was, if you were an immigrant, You know, if you had black hair and had a special kind of clothes, you were to be shot. If you walked in the specific area with specific clothes and have a specific ethnicity, you could be killed. So that's why most of the people who died in that war or got hurt was innocent.
Really?
Yeah. Unfortunately.
Crazy.
Yeah, because we were like, if some dude came in like you, sorry to say, looking like you, and was Danish, I would have shot him. No questions asked.
Just to figure out who he is, and just you saw him, you thought, okay, he looks like it's a possible target.
Maybe it was a little bit extreme. I wouldn't have done it. Not to make myself great up, but that was what happened. You know, if a Danish guy came who had muscles and maybe some tattoos, he would be shot. But I did that. I always asked and maybe took his phone. What I did when he came into my area, I always said, give me a phone. And went into his phone book and wrote HA or AK. And if there stood AK-81 something or HA something, then I would have killed him. But it didn't happen. But a lot of people got shot. And what happens also was if a Danish guy with a specific profile had some kind of weird behavior, then he would be shot too, or shot at. So yeah, it was crazy, man. And Christiania was actually
was it a target for you?
It was a target, yeah, it was. It was a target. We threw grenades inside of Christiania. We shot inside Christiania. We shot at people coming out of Christiania. And also the other way around, there was a guy who delivered hash to Christiania who got shot also. And at his not funeral, but memorial, a guy who was Turkish, who was affiliated somehow to Hells Angels, got killed at the memorial. And it was actually an ethnical Danish guy who killed him.
I remember, crazy. I remember, let's don't forget, but I remember I was there at that time. It was my last time I was in Christiania and Copenhagen in the context Hells Angels. Of course, I was still active. I was a member. It was 2013 in Copenhagen, and I remember they said they had so much pressure on it. I said it. We had this situation. I can say it. Maybe I said it before on a live stream at the gas station. You know, we talked about that. We were there for vacation to see the other brothers, nomads, and at that time Brock was still alive. Sven was still a member. He was also his right hand from Brock's side. Lars, we called him the horny Lars because he was a playboy, had a lot of relationship with other different girls, and he was still around us. And some Asian guy, and I tell you two stories from my time. We were outside, and they told us not to wear the colors. And I told you another talk, but not everybody knows that. We were at the gas station and buy some things, put gas in the cars. And Lars was outside. The guy from the Nomads, he was a member, and he put gas in the car. My brothers at that time, and some other Danish guys, I think 2 or 3 AK-81 was there, and some other guys from the Hells Angels Nomads was still there. We was in the station and buy some snacks and talking. And a couple of minutes later, Lars come walking very fast, not running, but walking fast into the gas station and said, "Hey, brothers, we have to go. We have to leave." And this guy said, "Hey, what's happened?" He said, "Yeah, we have. I don't know. I recognize some guys. They wear black clothes, and I saw them wearing masks. We have to go because we have no weapon on our bodies. We have nothing here to protect us and shoot back and step back and fight back. So we have to leave." I don't know. I don't want to hurt anybody, especially you, my guests and my other brothers from Berlin gets hurt here. So we have to leave. So we took everything paid and was going fast in the cars. In that moment we are driving, we saw in the back 6 guys. I remember that a couple of 6 guys, or 5 or 6 or 7, round about that, coming with black clothes and mask, and was again behind us, coming after us. And they see us driving away fast. They put the middle fingers and "fuck you," screaming and moving, and it was very close to a clash. You said it's maybe not your the time brothers was not so active in this time, but the other gang, you think it was the LTF.
But in 2013, that was after all of this.
Yeah,
this
of course.
What I'm speaking
we
about,
jumping, but it was my.
This what I'm talking about. It was back in 2008 and 2009.
Yeah,
and Brothers was actually established in 2009.
Yeah. Let's talk about the Brothers. It was just the experience at that time, and with my story.
It's funny because I remember in 2013 getting a tip about Hells Angels coming from Berlin. And at that time, we had just not stopped our war with Hells Angels, but it was coming back after this war in the
08 or 07.
In the 08, 09. It suddenly faded out because something happened between us and the other area, and then we actually started fighting each other internally. Both of us had put Hells Angels on the shelf. So this, where you came, was at a time where we were about to step into the fight once again. And there I remember one coming and telling me about, I didn't want to tell you that tomorrow. I wanted to wait to hear that he had a tip about Hells Angels coming from Berlin. And I actually went on with it because I wanted to meet you and shoot you, because I wanted the war to start again with Hells Angels, because I had just been in a conflict with 3 other groups actually in the meanwhile, and I didn't want that because that wasn't my intention. My whole intention of being in the gang society was the fight against Hells Angels, and I waited for that to start again, but it never did. And it was actually because of the Berlin rejection that I took my final step out.
At that time we were immigrants?
Yeah, and I didn't give a fuck. Actually, I would have killed you more because you were immigrants, because in my mind, you were traitors. How could you, knowing well that Hells Angels are killing immigrants in Denmark and hating us and are racists, join them? In my mind, at that time, it would have been if someone was joining the Israeli army today.
Mm.
In my mind,
very, very difficult.
It's not the same,
crazy.
I know.
Yeah.
But in my mind, that was where it were, because you gotta understand something I didn't tell you now, and I know that the regular German guy or woman and Danish guy and woman would say,
for you, this,
why are you even thinking like that? But I was actually manipulated in such a way that I was convinced that I was making jihad against the Hells Angels while smoking fucking hashish. That's how messed up I was at that time, because I said to myself, look, these are non-Muslims. They want to kill us because we are Muslims. They hate us. And they came once and threw a grenade in our area in full daylight.
From Hells Angels?
Yeah. And that was 2 days after I met my uncle's wife, and she was having my little cousin in a stroller with her at the same time. 2 days after, at like 15:30, 3:30 in the day,
Daylight, yeah.
When people are bringing their kids from school and kindergarten, they threw a grenade. So in my mind, it was like they're going after my family. I know today that this was just an excuse to let my inner anger out.
Yeah, of course.
I know that.
It's the easy way. It's the easy way.
Exactly.
Yeah.
But in that time, I was convinced, or I convinced myself, and I even had an imaginary scene in my head. I had a wish that I had many hours standing in front of our area with a gun and a bulletproof vest, waiting for AK-81 to come.
Also Hells Angels too. I think so.
No, because at that time we knew Hells Angels wouldn't let Hells Angels go out. They had AK-81 for that. If we wanted to go after Hells Angels, we had to like find them.
In Germany, we said for this guys, it sounds very bad für die deutschen Zuhörer. Kanonenfutter. You know, soldiers, they can burn in the front line. You know, they're just infantry. So fight, you die, come another one. Just the main guys don't get hurt and don't step on the battlefield.
It's a check game.
Yeah, of course.
It's a fact.
Yeah.
It's also like that in countryside, you know?
Yeah.
When America goes to war, they send their soldiers. They can die. It's okay.
I just told you, I have contact to a few high-ranking former Hells Angels members from the Nomads, and especially Denmark. And a couple of days ago, I had a long talk with them. And we talk of our time and all the issues and also the war against you. We talk about you and all this stuff. And we had a lot of history together. And he said, you know what? We talk about the war and the immigrants and all this stuff. And of course, there are a lot of people in their time that were racist in the especially in the Nomads organization, Denmark and Copenhagen, all this stuff. But we are close to the Nomads. I can talk for the other charters, Randas, and I don't know. But he said to me, listen, you know why? Everybody knows, I told it in another episodes on my live stream to the people. They listen to podcasts and know my story and listen to my story and all the history. We were very close to the Nomads. And we were, our charter, you know, there was 95% immigrants. A handful of Germans, the rest Kurdish, Iranish, Albanish, you know, Iraq, Egypt, Palestine, everything, Palestine. So they said to him, do you know why we were close to you guys and this charter, especially around Kadir Padir and you guys and at that time? It wasn't because we liked you so much and we loved you so much and you were all the brothers, because you were so crazy in your area. You fight for the club. We know you're ruthless motherfuckers. You said it. And you were immigrants. And we like it. We loved when you come to Copenhagen and we can go out and everybody's talking on the street, hey, the Hells Angels have immigrants, Arabish, Iraqi, you know? And to understand the people on the street, we are not racist. We have also brothers with another culture, another color, with another, you know, with another roots, not Western Europe. So this was the reason he said we was very close to you guys, and it was a view perspective, an opinion, and I never thought about it to this day, and now it makes sense. It's always politician, always politic. It doesn't, they don't care about love, brotherhood, all this bullshit. We have some people outside, they're talking to this day about brotherhood and all this bullshit. It's ridiculous. Maybe you agree with that. It's just a politician. It's a gambling. It's, you know, shack and make money and power. And, yeah, it was crazy. Let's talk about one. We talked about Jørgen Nielsen. Maybe we can show some pictures in this episode from him. He's also a person of public, and the well-known this guy who brought the Hells Angels on the planet in Denmark, I would say. And there are some other guys we didn't talk about them. I think Brian Sandberg is one public figure in the mainstream media, also to this day. And at the time, I didn't met him. I heard a lot of him, but he had a lot of problems in the club. After a couple of years, and he left the club out in bad standing. Then he joined the Bandidos, out in bad standing. Then he was very close to the immigrant gangs on the streets. Some guys, Nadim Khan, he's a friend of him. I know him to this day. But I heard, because I don't know him. I know Jönke well, and the other guys, Blondie, Brock is dead, and all these guys. But Brian Zenbeck, I didn't know him from the time. I only heard about his doings and his businesses and all this, and his position in the club. He said, and everybody said in the time, he founded and constructed AK-81, Altenkleer, in the wartime to fight against your guys. So we had a little bit talk before the episode. You disagree. You said it's not right. It's the founding and the idea behind the AK-81 was another one. Maybe you can give us a little bit.
That's just my personal opinion.
Of course, everything is about your opinion. But
one thing is,
I want to know it.
One thing is what is officially known. What I would say, my understanding of the history of what I heard on the street.
Yeah.
Back in Denmark is that it was Jynke and one called Dennis, and that Sandberg also was a founder, but not that it was his idea per se. It's difficult to say whose idea it was and how, and who's the real architect behind it was. Because it depends also on who tells the story. Like in Denmark, we have a guy who in the media is called MFP, Martin Fryd Pedersen. He's a guy who turned on his former brothers in AK-81 and actually made 16 guys go to prison for a long time. In killings, in attempted murder and stuff like that. And he also himself got, I'm pretty sure he got 16 years for attempted murder. Yeah, himself.
Jail sentence.
Yeah, okay. Which is the maximum penalty you can get in Denmark. Yeah. So he actually didn't gain anything from turning against his former brothers.
Maybe it was revenge. Maybe he had some issues with
he made a book too, and if you listen to that, what I understood from him is that he made some mistakes personally that put him and his family in jeopardy of getting in danger, and that's why he did it, because he was pretty sure that they would have hurt him and his family, or his family. So that's why he did it. That's what he says in his book. And he has other reasons too. And plus the classic, the brotherhood turned out to not be as brotherly as he believed it was. Plus he was sent out to shoot a guy. And it was the same in his case. He comes with a lot of anger, a lot of hatred towards immigrants.
Wait a second. He get an order to hit somebody, to kill somebody. The order came from the Hells Angels in a shop. Okay.
And that's what he says.
Yeah.
And he goes into the shop. It's a kiosk. I don't know what you call it in Germany.
Kiosk, the same. Kiosk.
Yeah, a small shop.
Yeah.
The problem was that this kiosk was owned by a rival. Not a rival was in. When he came in, I actually don't understand till this day, but I can't ask him for good reasons because he's underground. I don't know where he is. Why he went through with it, because he goes into the shop and sees that it's an ethnical Danish boy who stands behind the counter, and he goes on with it. He shoots him. And apparently this fact hurts him deeply. The problem is, before that, he was ordered to burn a motorcycle that was used to an attempted murder too. And in this case, it exploded or something like that, and he got a big burn, and he went to the hospital, and the police found
Recognizing,
him. They found him based on that, and apparently also the lighter he used, he did it without a glove and left it at the scene. So he made a lot of mistakes.
With the amateur. So really.
What I understood in this book is that it was his own mistakes, and that's why he was afraid, because he made so many mistakes that, and next to that, he had it so bad with shooting this guy that he apparently cried about it to his girlfriend, who started to speak about it, or his mom. I don't remember who it was, and that's a no-go. You can't speak about this. I still to this day, there's some stuff I never speak with anyone about it.
At my active time, still the time is over, and I talk very transparent, more than you. Of course, we have some different perspective. That's totally okay.
Yeah. Plus, you got convicted, didn't you?
Of course, and I was betrayed from my own brothers, from my president. Not all the brothers, but the president and the inner circle. But in my court, I always said the same thing like you said now. We don't talk to girls, to friends, to mothers, especially to brothers. When you get an order, you take the order, do it, and that's it. You don't talk and make a commercial and make I did it, and we have a meeting and everybody's talking. I don't know, Hassan did the hit on this guy, he killed, he's a hero, and that didn't happen. You get an order from a few guys, especially in the normal way. You get an order from the sergeant at arms. You get an order, you get them a gun, and do the job. But I told it on the court in my case, and they said it's impossible. Everybody's talking, and I said, "Yo, listen. From which experience are you talking about? Tell me your experience, and we can share our views. But I'm come from another whole life. It's a different world. We have their rules, and we don't talk. In the normal life, of course, something happened. Everybody's talking. You saw the news. I did this, and everybody is, have a struggle and is confused and is afraid, and everything is going crazy. But in this life, this is killing. It's not normal, of course. Also in the Hells Angels, it's the ultima ratio, we say. But it happened a lot of time, but not every time. In my time. So, and in Denmark is different. But I had a argue fight with the court, and also with the attorney, with the lawyers from the Hells Angels. They saying, "Oh, you are a liar. You are talking about everybody's talking. Why you don't talk and this talk?" I say, "Come on, man. We are a secret society inside the club and outside the club. We are very in West, of course, but we have the omerta. We don't say. We don't make. You say the same thing. You don't talk to girls, friends, and all this stuff. But the people outside from the world, now they understand, because they get a view from me, our podcast, and your other guys, and understand it slowly. But the normal, at my time, I had a crazy argue fight in the court to understand, because they had so much higher nose and said, "We don't understand it. This is not a normal life experience. We had this, and we don't understand." I said, "No, of course you don't understand, because it's a different world. You don't have the experience from this world. You don't even can talk about from an experience, but of course, because you didn't have it. It's like when I'm a pilot. I can talk about my experience, my everything I learned, and how to deal with the wind, and rain, and how to land, blah, blah, blah. But I don't have a flight license now. I'm making it, but I don't have it. And I can't talk about how to land a airplane, because I have no experience. I don't know. But it was a crazy argue fight. I think it took 1 year to understand that. It was crazy. Thank you for sharing this. It's Crazy, yeah, because you come from another country. We didn't know each other before we met for a couple of days. We have contact for a couple of months, but this deep talk we didn't have it before, and it's great to share the guys in Germany your opinion and your experience. What happened in this life is totally crazy. But let us get it back to Brian Sandberg. I know he's I didn't want to say a hero. It's nobody is a hero in this world. Everybody is a sinner and a failure, I think, 100%. And is a mistakes maker and ruin his life.
It depends on who you ask.
Of course. But in our view, I think you have the same view, brother. But he's a very famous figure in Denmark. He has also a podcast, and like Jönke. And we talked about before who founded AK81. I heard he founded. You said it's a mix of everything. He had his part, but it's not the main part. You said it, understand it. But
yeah, to say he's the one who founded AK81,
it's not right.
I wouldn't say that's right. No.
Okay.
There was a lot of people.
Because it was to understand for the viewers and the hearers. AK81 was a big thing. Was a big thing in the wartime because it was a huge Czech move to fight you and to make pressure on you and to kill you. A lot of guys get killed from this area, from the other faction, and also from the Hells Angels, and all Hells Angels too get killed and hurt. But you heard. I want to talk about this. I hope you can talk about it. I know Brian Sandberg was a victim of 3-time ordered hits to kill. He survived, happy, but he was very close to die. He had a very, very big luck in the situation. All the 3 times I heard about it.
I know it was more than 3 times.
Yeah. Don't say names. It's up. Depends on you. And you said it. You don't. You have to. A lot of things secret. You understand it because you. Your life get in danger when you talk too much about it. You had some big troubles. I guess we talk about it. Sadda and all that. But you had some big trouble after that. But tell me what happened there. Who shot it? From which area comes the hit and wanted to kill Brian Sandberg? And at his time, he was an active Hells Angel member and also a high-ranking guy.
It was at a time. That's what I can say is that at that time there was a mix of patrolling. It was at a time where we were in a really strong alliance. 3 areas centralized in Copenhagen city were the front line in Copenhagen. And it's important to understand that this conflict wasn't only in Copenhagen. It was mainly in Copenhagen. Most of the action was in Copenhagen, but it also was in Aarhus, in Odense, not in the same caliber as in Copenhagen, but it was a national conflict. And at that time, there was a really strong alliance between us and the other part of Nabro and another place a little outside of the central Copenhagen city, who is called Tingbjerg. And usually it was either this area makes a hit this way, this area makes a hit here, and we make a hit there, or we meet together and talk about there's a tip. We have gotten some intel on where this guy is living or working or is gonna make a drop of something, and we want to like hit him there.
You want to kill him?
Yeah, kill him. Of course, it wasn't a play. Yeah. So when that happens, usually at that point it was different from today, where people gets orders to go out. At that time, people actually volunteered. Yeah, people wanted to kill. People wanted to go out. It was crazy at that time
You
because it
don't
was
have to
new.
motivate them. They was motivated by themselves to be a part of the game,
Yeah,
part of the war.
it was after that. The problem happened after, when you have, like, let's say 10, 15 guys over these areas
Yeah.
who have made multiple hit or attempted hit. Of course, they get tired by time 1, 2, 3, 4, because maybe this one time you were so close to getting caught off the police, or they shot back, or something happened, so you get tired. Whereas in the beginning, it was so new, and it was so, people were also loyal, meaning I could have been out and shot or made an hit or an attempted hit, and people knowing it was me, but nobody spoke because there was a loyalty, and police hadn't had their hands up on informants and stuff like that. So there was also some kind of honor with it. So people comes and, oh, nice done. We heard about you. Do
You killed
this.
this guy. And
You killed, or you
Yeah.
did, or you shot.
so sick, man.
Yeah, it
so
is sick. So at that time, there was a strong standing together, and people volunteered. So, as I said before, it there comes some knowledge. We know where this guy is. He's a high-ranking profile, because usually, even though we wanted to hurt AK-81, the main targets was, of course, the Hells Angels profiles, because it would be better.
So much high.
Media-wise, you know?
Yeah.
Because, as you said before, it is a fact that if you hit an AK-81, you hit them, it hurts, but you know, first of all, it's not going to hurt Hells Angels members in the same way as if you hit one of them.
Of course, and doesn't destroy the Hells Angels.
Exactly. And even in the society, which apparently we had some kind of thought that made a difference, it meant something that when the media wrote about us, that we did something that was great. Not great in like great done, great job, but great in like a big thing, you know? So hitting big profiles was better than hitting the foot soldiers, you know? So that was the main goal, of course. And plus, you have, I was only a foot soldier. I was a young kid. I was 17, 18 years, 19 years old at the beginning. So in my world, personally, I wanted the AK-81 because they were my counterpart. But I know that there were some bigger powers wanting their rivals, their counterparts, you know? So that meant something too. But when this information came, okay, we have intel on this, people volunteered. Sometimes you could have 2 cars, 4, 8 people going out,
From your
making
guys.
one hit.
Okay.
Mixed.
Yeah.
Mixed from this group, this group, this group. And sometimes it's like, okay, we go. And if the tip comes to us, we will maybe go to the other part and say, we got this tip, you take it. And otherwise, when they come to us and say, we know a guy who told us about this, to like try and confuse the police, you know? As they did themselves, what I heard is that mostly it was AK-81s from other chapters who came into our area and shot at us, and the ones from our area went outside the city to make hits outside. It's strategic.
Yeah, of course.
It makes sense,
Yeah.
you know? I would have done that too if I had some kind of different chapters. I would have done that too. I think it's common sense. And in the same way, it was tried on that. So who did what when? Even if I knew, I couldn't say who hit Sandberg at different times.
But
But I
let us
know
talk
it came from our
Okay.
areas.
for our areas.
Yeah,
Okay.
not necessarily the area I came from, but our areas, the triangle,
Yeah.
as I would call it.
Okay. Let us go for one of the three hits. How it happened? What happened? Let's share the history when it's possible. I know three hits was to kill him. They didn't make it. Glad and lucky for him, and he's still alive. I hope he have a good life today and healthy life and long life. But at that time, they tried to kill him. Didn't happen. 3 times, and do you know exactly what happened? Not who they was. We know that now from which area, but how it happened.
I know.
How they did it.
At one of the times, he was sitting at a sandwich shop. I don't know if you have it here. It has become multinational.
Subway or what?
No, Joe and the Juice.
I don't know it.
Joe and the Juice.
No,
It's a sandwich and juice shop.
Okay.
He was sitting inside there, and suddenly a guy came. You actually have him on camera, taking a gun out and shooting inside the shop. And actually, this hit shows how inexperienced we was at that time, because with the knowledge I have today, and I'm not giving any ideas, but if I was still a part of it, I would have went inside. But again, it's easier said than done, because you wouldn't know if they had weapons. So it's hard. It's easy to say, why didn't you go inside a Jewish shop where there was maybe 5 till 10 Hells Angels members? I don't know actually the exact amount of members that was inside that shop at that given time, because maybe 1 or 2 of them had a gun. So it takes something to shoot at them in the beginning, and he did it by himself. And another time was one of the big hits where they were sitting at a place called Sticks and Sushi.
Sandberg.
Yeah, Sandberg. And another one of the co-founders also.
Yeah.
I want to say Dennis.
I don't know.
I want to say Dennis.
Yeah.
How could I forget? Anyways, he got shot like someplace here.
Okay.
He got hit.
Yeah.
They were eating sushi, and they shot, and they actually hit 1 or 2 maybe. The third one, I actually don't remember. But you say 3 times.
Yeah, 3 times.
Which one was
3 times is in the public. The public knows. I don't know the gray and the black numbers.
Yeah, I know there is a lot.
The police and the society didn't recognize it.
There is more numbers. Actually, there is 87 registered hit or attempted hit.
Yeah, crazy, man.
During that
Absolutely
conflict.
Crazy.
Yeah, during that conflict. But I can tell you something.
Yeah.
There was a lot of shootings that didn't. A lot. Many shootings where I actually, it was because there was so much shooting that people just got used to it. I don't know. But there was some times where a heavy shootout happened and police didn't came. When we ran away from there.
And police didn't came.
Police didn't come. So we ran away from there.
Yeah.
And
they couldn't handle it.
Waited, and then came back and saw, I don't know what it's called in English. I don't remember. Not the bullets, but the Hülster, is it called?
Die Hülsen.
Yeah, the thing that
comes out from the
out,
bullets.
yeah.
When you shoot the bullet,
it's still
Hülse.
there.
Yeah,
it's still there. So we just
took it
and throw it out.
Crazy.
And that's one thing. But the thing that was most commonly not registered was the chasings.
What that mean?
That means either we get chased by them and they shoot at us, because the reason why this don't get registered is you have a chase in maybe 10-15 minutes around streets, and in one specific time, so this is real, not hypothetical. There was one chase where The gun that was used was a revolver.
Yeah.
It was a 357 Magnum.
It's a big one.
It's a big motherfucker. And firstly, it doesn't leave the holster. It stays in the gun.
Okay.
It doesn't throw them out like a semi-automatic.
Yeah.
And secondly, this particular chase was so long and in so many different areas, and because the gun had only, I think it was because we didn't have a full ammunition. There was only 3 or 4 shots inside the gun, so we weren't able. The one who did it, couldn't just like shoot all. It wasn't just shoot and get away.
Yeah,
it was a chase. So you have to wait for the perfect time to actually shoot.
Yeah.
So one shot could be now, bah, and then chase. 1 minute, 2 minutes, 3 minutes.
Pom, 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 pom.
Now, again. Bah. Okay.
Crazy.
Again. Bah. So nobody reports it because it's not bah, 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 bah. It's like one shot and chase.
They didn't recognize it as a shootout, as a shooting. Maybe if something falls down or explosion from I don't know, something regular things.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And that's one thing. Another thing is I have been personally in lots of chases where we attempted to stab members of the rival gangs, and the other way around, where I was chased, me and my friends, and also tried, either ran over and did get run over. I once saw one of my friends get run over by one of the AK-81 members, and he flew up in the air, you know, and we went back, and I'm not laughing because it's fun, but I don't know why. But
it's crazy. The pictures are crazy. I understand it. The people are showing the episode.
The fun part is his reaction afterwards. He was like, "Did you see it? Did you see how I flew in there?" And I was like, people were crazy at that time, you know. If you survived, it was fun, you know. And if you didn't, then it was fucked up, you know. So we took him in the car, and you know, let's get away. So yeah. It was crazy, and actually, I hate to say it, but, and I know my own country and some media have been poking at me because I say this sometimes, but it's not that I think it's okay or that it's honorable actions, but this boyish actionhood, sometimes I can miss it, you know. Not the fact that we were hurting each other and killing each other, and actually not that part. If it was only hurting each other and killing each other, that's maybe also another thing. But the biggest problem with this was we were making a danger towards civilians. So when you're shooting at a guy in a car chase, you don't know where ignorant. You don't know because when you shoot and he turns the car around, that bullet can hit somebody inside his house, you know, and that's not okay. But so I managed personally to find other ways of action, like go skiing. I love skiing. You know, I take those black mountains because it's a crazy motherfucker, and you think you're gonna die. You see this mountain go like this,
adrenaline,
and you think I'm dying here, but you do it either way. It's so the same craziness I had when I was a kid. I still have it, but I have mobilized it in something good, you know.
Let me ask you this, Abud. How many guys killed in that war from your side? How many boys? I have to say boys because they were not men. How many boys and friends, of course, and call them brothers, I don't know, are died in the war?
In that war particularly, as I said before, mostly of the victims were innocent. For example, in our area, not just like the alliance, but in our area, there was one guy who died. He was an Iraqi guy, and he was in his early 20s, and he was actually just waiting for his cousin go bringing some stuff. His cousin is a really close friend of mine until this day. And I actually thought that he was the one who got killed that day, and actually shed some tears because I was really angry and sad, because he was just a boy at that time. He was like 15, 14, 15, and they waited for him. So he's parked his car, and the car is on, the ignition is on, and the other one went up to bring some stuff. He was having a sleepover, so he went home to bring his blanket and his pillow. And this guy is telling me, I looked out of the balcony just to check on my cousin, and I saw the car standing behind him. It was
waiting.
It was a Suzuki Grand Vitara.
Crazy.
He said, I saw it and I noticed it, and it said there was something inside me that made me notice that car, but then I didn't give it any thoughts afterwards. So he went down and looked inside the car. It was still there. And then he jumped inside the car, and suddenly he heard the shots. Da, 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 da. Luckily, he wasn't hit, but his cousin, who was at the driver's seat, because the guy, like the car is here, he came from here. And my friend, went inside here and sat, and this one comes here and shoots in here and hits this guy 6 times in the back. And he jumps out of the car and tries to run, but he got hit. And this boy sees his cousin die in front of him. And you know what? In Denmark, if you Google my name and understand just a little bit Danish, there is one article that goes several times when you Google my name. It's that I stormed out of a show, one of the biggest shows in Denmark once. And people think it's because the debate between me and the politician was that I got frustrated with him not understanding what I said. But the problem that day was that I spoke with this guy and some other guys who at that time, like now, 2 years ago almost, have been at that time where this one got killed. They saw him. Small boys, 9, 10 years old, saw a body, and a cousin they know who lives in their area crying over his cousin. And they saw afterwards multiple bodies, people getting killed, And then I asked this guy who passed forward in time, now is older, and is a gang member himself. And this specific guy I'm speaking about, I'm pretty sure that he's a killer today. Because I know him, and I know how crazy he is. So I asked him, when you saw this, did anybody offer you help? Did you get any form of help, like trauma?
I don't think so.
He said, no. They didn't give a shit. So back to the debate, I was trying to tell him this. These boys are seeing killings, and now you want to punish them. I get it. Of course, if you're a killer, you have to be punished. But we need to reason with the fact that we have a responsibility as a society why these people are being killers. And let's move a little bit away from this. It's something that is dear in my mind, that I always speak about in Denmark. And it's a message from me to the German people. Not the gangsters, the regular people, the party peoples, the big corporate people. When you want a party and you think, let me try some coke. I have a lot of money. You're a part of the problem, my friend. They are the problem because you are the product. You are the catalyst of this milieu even existing. Because what is the main goal of these people? Their living is drugs and prostitution and weapon, right? And extortion. Extortion only has a victim. It can never be the victim's fault that he's getting extorted. So let's put that aside. The weapons is only needed because of the drugs and the prostitution. If you didn't have the prostitution and the drugs and the illegal selling and buying of products, even no matter what it is, even if it's cigarettes, people sell cigarettes on the black market. People sell computers on the black market because they want to get around the VAT or the taxes. And they sell drugs because it's drugs, So when corporate Michael goes down and thinks, I don't have anything to do with the criminal gang activity.
I just sniff coke.
Motherfucker, let me tell you something. When El Chapo kills a whole family in Mexico, you're a part of the reason. And those lives are on your conscience. But people don't understand that. And it's the same to those people because now we have a different kind of problem. I get calls from time to time from a student, a college boy. He's not a gang member. He's not violent. He has nothing to do with it. But some crazy way, he starts slanging coke.
But
because he want to make some extra money.
I understand it.
My friend.
Yeah.
It ends up with him. No, this is another issue. And then you can comment on this. Because now we have another problem. People being a part of the organized crime without being a part of it. I'm just selling hashish to my friends, a couple of customers, coke. The problem is the gangs is not going to leave you sell in their area. And I get calls from time to time. This guy suddenly calls me up and says, I got kidnapped. They extorted me. They kicked my ass. My family is involved. Bam, bam, bam. And he pays them all his money, plus he needs his father and mother. Not only his money he have saved up, they take his drugs, they take all his money, plus they give him a fine, and his mother and father needs to go out, take loans. And beside all that, he has to go away. So his life is just thrown out. And he was never a gang member. He was nothing. He just wanted to sell coke or hashish, That's also a big problem.
I think I got you. I got your opinion, but it's a big, whole huge box of Pandora you're opening here because I think so. But you can ask also the question why this guy or boy or man or woman or who else is sniffing coke. He has also problems because he's sniffing coke, and it's a huge debate. I don't think we can handle it now. We find a solution. I think it's totally crazy, and it's a society thing. And now we have legal hashish in Germany. The people can smoke it, and it's we have this side. They said forbid this. We have to put forbidden this because it's a starting drug to get a harder drug. The other side is saying it's a healthy thing. THC, CBD, marijuana is a healthy thing, and you can smoke it. It's not a chemical drug.
Yeah, and
it's a flower.
And if we legalize it, at least people pay taxes, and there's no criminal activity.
I don't know. I'm not in it because I have no experience with drugs. Everybody knows that. I can talk about that. I have experience with the gangs, all this stuff, jail, and all the gang life. I don't want to talk about things I have no experience with that because it's crazy. But let us start here. Please answer my question. I understand that you told me some action, but how many guys got killed?
Yeah. That was
killed on your side.
Yeah,
because it's outrageous how many in your time, not the whole wartime in Denmark.
The point was that it is a society thing, all this with gang. But yeah, that's a whole other issue. I actually don't. It's tragic because I can't give you a number because I lost count. And it's because it's not only my closest friends I count in as the fallen. I count people I have engaged with in some kind of way in different areas, and I really lost count. And it's insane because sometimes I see a video or a sitcom, and there's this old guy that is starting to get announcement once a year, or once every second year, because he's so old now. So now he's in a place in his life where he frequently goes to funerals because he's so old.
Yeah.
And I think it's so crazy that I've been at so many funerals that 60-year-olds have not been as maybe 5% as many funerals I've been at. And that's not counting me being able to go to every funeral, because there have been funerals where it has been too dangerous for me to go. One of my close friends once got killed. He was liquidated, cold-blooded. And when I went down to ask, because I read in the media, one was shot and 3 others, like 4 was hit. And I went down and I called one of my friends, actually the guy I just told you about, the guy who jumped into the car and saw his cousin die. I called him and asked him what happened. I heard 4 got hit, and I know this place where the shooting was. It was the area where my friends hang out. And he says, this guy is the most, he's in baddest shape. The 3 others is hit, but not that bad. So I hurried down to the area. I live right next to it, not that far away, to ask what happened, show my support, see if it's okay. And it was like 5 minutes after that from the call, I went down. I saw a lot of activity. People were frustrated. There was a lot of walking around, people with stone faces. And I asked, and I saw another one, and I asked him, what happened? And he said, he's dead. They killed him. And I was like, no, it can't be true. He's not dead, And I kept updating my phone, hoping that
the news,
it was nothing came up. There was no update that he was dead before the day after. So I went all night long, updating in hope of something happened, some miracle that he survived, But the problem was, before that, suddenly one of the other guys saw me and said, he pointed at me and said, it's your fault. This is your fault.
Why
you started all this,
and
then you just left us.
And now
you need to pay and stuff like that. And I was like, of course I'll pay. I'll do whatever you want. I just wanted to go away from there because I know they had just seen a guy, one of their closest friends, get killed in front of them. You have the first shock, that is the fact that they just got shot at. And then you have the second shock that they tried to save their friend and he died in front of them. And then the angers come, and then the revenge, the bloodthirst. So the most stupid thing would be for me to have some kind of pride there and say, what do you mean? It's not my fault. Oh, discussing. Because they would have
pride is ignorance.
They would have fucked me up then. Yeah. So I was like, yes, of course. And luckily, a couple of weeks after, they came and said that it was a misunderstanding and there was actually another conflict. It wasn't a conflict that was related to me. And they were sorry about it. And I understand. And I was like, of course. But the problem is that I missed his funeral. I couldn't go. So to answer your question, I really don't have a count.
It's absolutely crazy.
I have on my phone, in my gallery, I have a map dedicated to it. I call it The Fallen. So I have pictures of my friends in that map. Some of them were innocent, some of them were actually killed in other than gang activity, but most of them killed in some kind of way in gang activity. And it's actually miraculous, I think, sometime that I got out safe and sound. Sometimes I feel like, hypothetically cry about I broke both my legs in an attempt to run away from the police. I jumped out from second floor and I broke both my legs, and it made my back, because I haven't trained yet good, and I started to walk like crooked, so it had made my back crooked. So now I have bad knee. I have a discus prolapse in my lower back and a discus prolapse in my lower neck, and it hurts. I can't sleep at night. I wake up with in pain every day, every night. But I still thank God that I'm actually alive.
Let me ask you this: why the scene in the streets? Of course, the street is violent. No rules, killing, no regrets. No empathy, no humanity. But why is what do you think? Why is the scene in the gangs? It's Hells Angels, Bandidos, Comanches, Satudara, Brothers, LTF, Plaslingbrock. I don't know. It's right. The name.
There's a lot.
I name it. So much more violence, so much killings than we have. Also killings. I was in court, I'm a convicted murder, everything, but there's a lot of more stuff going on in Denmark than in Germany or in Portugal or in Spain. Why do you think this is? What is your opinion about why is this scene so much violent and doesn't care about human lives and killing for nothing, killing after killing? And to this day, I heard we could talk about the situation now on street. They're killing each other. There are new groups, Statudara switched to Comanches and all that stuff. But what do you think? Why is this, the history so much more violent, so much more killings than Germany, especially in Denmark?
I think it's a matter. I think I wouldn't know if Denmark is more violent than Germany. I gotta be honest and say, and I would actually say that in modern time, I would say that Sweden is actually more violent than Denmark.
Of course, Sweden. But you were from Denmark. Let's talk about Denmark, because Sweden.
I think it's a matter of coincidences and a matter of it's a matter of the. Another thing is also that I think I read about it and got to the fact that Denmark is some kind of a central for drug distribution and weapons distribution, meaning that a lot of things come into Denmark before it goes up north, where Sweden is one big customer, and especially Norway, who is a pretty rich country, is a big customer. I think it has to do a little with that. There's a lot of money, but besides that, I think it's also a matter of which clientele, meaning which groups of people you have in the respective countries. Denmark is mostly has a not mostly, but has a lot of Palestinians, and a lot of Palestinians have been criminals or are criminals
In Denmark.
in Denmark. Yeah.
Okay. We have to separate that because don't understand wrong. Not every Palestinian or Palestinians are a regular criminal.
No, that's
We're talking
not,
about the
yeah.
the Palestinians.
I'm just I'm
Yeah.
saying that we have a lot of Palestinians.
Yeah.
No, I'm saying a lot of the yeah. I'm really happy you said that, but because that's not what I meant. But we have a big number of Palestinians sadly being connected to gang violence. And the reason I'm saying this is not to criminalize the Palestinians. I'm Palestinian myself, but there is a fact that's important to take in consideration, and that is that the Palestinians come with a baggage to Denmark, and that baggage isn't a small one. Firstly, they get ethnically cleansed in 1948, and they lose their country, and a lot of massacres happens toward them. The generation who came to Denmark was born in foreign countries, Lebanon, Syria, Jordan, as second-rank citizens. So they themselves, the father and mother generation, has trauma, and especially the Palestinians from Lebanon who have in Lebanon experienced racism, Israel attacking them in Lebanon. So not only get they thrown out of their own country, also there experience a lot of trauma, a lot of killing, a lot of death, and racism, and then comes to Denmark. So it's a third generation of immigration, you know.
Yeah, I understand, but let me ask this. But the war started a long time before the Palestinian came to Denmark. I don't agree with the opinion. This is a one side of that.
It's a small fraction of it.
Yeah, it's a fraction of, but hey, the war and the killing started long time before the guys were born. We are talking about, or have the possibility to kill because they were children. So Jørgen Nielsen or Neil Blondie, we are talking about after that about these guys. Were killers too, and started the war against bullshit. We talk about at the start from the episode, the start, and they were not Palestinian. They're Danish, pure Danish guys. So this is what I mean. It's 40 years of decade of war, killing, threatening, killing again, threatening peace for killing again, making money, criminal activities in history in this area. So to understand why is this so much escalated from the start, you didn't have a really. Always, of course, it's a process, but it was a really short process to get to the killing situation and killing actions from Jørgen Nielsen. So how to understand for the people that listen to the episode and to the podcast, what is your opinion? Why is so much violent in the history? Because we had also areas in Germany, but it's not so.
Yeah, but it was because your question was why, especially Denmark was more violent than Germany was, and that's why the first answer was that it was coincidences, and I can vouch, and I can be most certain that if we had the same issues in Germany. Not even Germany, but just in Berlin. As you said before, there's 4 million in Berlin, 3.2. That's almost half all Denmark. if you had a coincidence making a conflict like the one we had in 08, 09, I think there would have been a lot more killing in Berlin's streets.
Yeah, of course.
So it's a
I agree with that.
coincidence, and it's a matter of who's the guys in charge and how far are they willing to go. And in Denmark, we have had a lot of profiles that were ready to take the lines and push them forward and push them further. And it's a matter of coincidence. That's the general answer. I was just trying to dig deeper in
of course, I
why
understand it.
and if there is some difference between this and the immigration. And I thought your question was why there was more criminal activity inside the immigration.
No, criminal activity, not so much more violent in the criminal activities on the street.
Yeah,
you understand.
But it's a matter
criminal
of
activities are everywhere, very high.
But it's a
very
matter
high.
of coincidence and a matter of where in the process you are, and maybe in a year, Berlin or Germany can get into some kind of conflict and push it even further, because there's one thing. Sweden, before the war in 08, 09, we were actually looking a bit towards Sweden and see how they were doing over there, because they were like a step ahead of us. When the war began, it was a lot drive-by shootings, and it resulted in many of the missions, if you can call it that, ended up in either nobody get hit or get hit in a way they didn't die. And that's the result of driving. I mean, shooting from a driving car is hard. It's really hard to hit a target when you are moving. So shooting from a moving car is even harder. Whereas in Sweden, there was a couple of incidents between I think they were Bosnian or something like that. There were some issues where they just stepped into a cafeteria. One guy, he had a mask on from it was the same mask as the mask they wear they wear it in the movie called The Town, where they make robberies.
Boston, Ben Affleck.
He had that mask. He went into a cafeteria and shot a guy, or I think there were two, and just like with two guns, cold-blooded, half a meter, bam, 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 and walked away. Not run, not in a driving car, walked away from there.
Crazy.
So, yeah, that was so crazy that I remember going to my former brothers and say, look how they do it in Sweden. They hit them and they killed them.
Listen, we said the same. I didn't say it before. We said the same about you guys in Denmark. The Hells Angels, your guys, brothers. Our president and our charter was, look what they're doing in Denmark. We want to be, especially Kadir said, we want to be like the Danish guys. This is the reason he was so close to the guys and want to be with them, wants to like with them and everything. They had a close relationship. It's absolutely crazy.
But back to that.
How you see the coexistence?
Exactly.
How they make them sick each other.
Yeah.
Exactly. Yeah, the thoughts and the way, the perspective.
Yeah, but look how this ends. The point is that at first we're looking at them, then our war started for good. And
I don't think war started for good.
No, for good, like it started really. It began.
Yeah.
Because what I said here, what I told here was in the beginning. And then I mean like started for real. Like it really started over the war, like with a lot of shootings and stuff. Then the Swedish guys started looking at who? Denmark. I'm like, oh shit, look how they do in Denmark. It's gotten more crazy. But now it turned over again. Now it turned over again with the shootings between, it's like two groups in Stockholm, you know? It was like, look at these guys. They were friends, and then a robbery went wrong, and 8 guys got killed, you know? They just killed each other in such a way, they even killed them in Danish soil. The gang war in Sweden came to Denmark, where they killed 2 in Denmark, Swedish. So
They came to Denmark.
They came to Denmark and killed their rivals from Sweden in Denmark. And you know what they did? They live streamed it on TikTok.
Oh my God.
While the guy was dead, he held the phone up and was like, look at this motherfucker. Like,
saw it?
That's how crazy it is. No, I just heard it. So yeah, as you said, they push each other. Another thing I want to say before I forget it is, you speak about Jynke and you speak about Macron and you speak about, let me take you further back in history. It actually, I have dug really deep. It goes all the way back to 1850. So almost 100 years before the Second World War, there was a gang in Denmark called Handskemeerbanden. Handskemeer means gloves maker, a guy who makes gloves. So this was a family that apparently made gloves, and it was a kind of mafia. They were like 30, 40 of them, and they were a gang. And at that time, they also killed and stabbed and extortion and violent. 1850, and those people got killed. You know, at that time there was death. There were death punishment, so they killed them. It wasn't just for life or prison for life or prison 10 years, 15 years. They actually executed them. But still, in that fact, they were gangs, which is tragic when you think about how the politicians today wanna stop the gang activity. In Denmark, they come to the conclusion, we need harder punishments. But when you speak with them and say, yeah, but in the United States, they have death punishment. They have 25 to life. And they have 3 strikes and you're out. But people are more crazy than ever.
Matter. It doesn't. The people doesn't care about life sentence or death sentence. Look to America. How much people? I know the whole justice system, I think, in America is sick, destroyed, and very, very corrupt about money, because the jails are private. It's a lot of money in it. It's a business, so it's totally sick and has nothing to do. We're better in Germany because they want to reintegrate you in the German society. Sometimes works, sometimes didn't work. It depends on the individual.
Profile, yeah.
So just let's stop here. I want to ask you. We dropped the names Jynke and Sein Sandberg. I explained who is Jynke. Who the guys, the people are showing our podcast know who he is, and maybe you can explain from your perspective who he is in the public in Denmark, who he stands for what he stands for, what his history, and what are your opinion about Jynke Nielsen, because you talked about him here in the podcast, and I'm 100% sure you have opinion on him and. What he stands for and what guy he is. Maybe we can get him in the podcast.
Maybe, yeah.
So let us know.
Usually, I don't do that commenting on individuals, but I can tell you another thing about Jynke that has had a big effect on me. It's the Shackle Manifest. You want, I can read it up for you, because it's a pretty important piece of history, actually.
In Denmark.
Yeah, because while this conflict was up and running, Jynke drops a manifest Is it called a manifest in English? I don't know.
Yeah, it's a
Actually,
manifest.
it is a manifest.
In German, we say it's a manifest. Yeah.
He drops a manifest, calls it the Jackal Manifest, Shakal Manifest,
Yeah.
where he compares us, his rivals, with the jackal. And he says it in the manifest that he's not saying that immigrants are jackals. He's not saying Muslims are jackals. But the undertones of that manifest, he says, till this day, it wasn't racist. And he says it in the manifest. It's not racist. But it doesn't matter what you say. You need to know, as some kind of politician, that you have a responsibility of, when you make some kind of announcement on behalf of an organization or a group or a political party or whatever, then you have a responsibility of doing your best of how it gets received.
But for what he wrote a manifest, he was a Hells Angel. He was a killer. He's in convicted murder. He was on the run for a couple of years. He wrote books. This is real talk. I don't, I don't have an opinion it's good or bad. I think I have an opinion it's bad killing people and then be a criminal, but he's still active. He's making podcasts and he's an active politician. He have a Stabil Demokratie party, but I don't understand why he wrote a manifest. I don't understand the context. For what he's on Hells Angel. I never heard an Hells Angel wrote a manifest. For what?
Me and you, we can only speculate on it. You know, you can have your opinion, I can have mine. He has said, what I understood from him last time he made a comment on it was like, I just wrote it to write it. Like,
I just want it. It was my feelings.
Yeah, that's, but all that, the documentary I spoke about earlier that I'm in, he's in it too. And he speaks about it because he's confronted with it. What I think, and you know what, not what I think, but what it resulted with is, and it's a fact, that's what I saw, it resulted in politicians having empathy with them.
The normal politician and the...
Choosing a side. Isn't it crazy, brother?
Yeah, it's crazy. From a guy, he's convicted murder. He killed Makrele. It was not an accident. It was, I want to kill him. And he killed it in front of his wife, in front of his door, in front of his dog. Daily light. He was on the run. On the run, he wrote a book. And 85, 86, he was 3 years in Canada on the run. It's totally crazy. I think when you do this in Germany, one politician, in this stadium, in this situation, in this situation, your your career in a politician is dead. Because everybody would say, what the fuck?
You would have thought that too in Denmark, but apparently not.
Crazy.
It's so crazy because the politician that I'm speaking of now, his name was Brian Mikkelsen. He wasn't any politician. He was the Minister of Justice.
Let's make it sicker.
He was the head of the police.
Let's make it crazier.
And this crazy man, he goes out in public and says, it's not a direct quote, but this is how I remember it.
Well, from which party he came from? It's left wing or right wing?
No,
I don't know.
It was some kind of right wing. Yes,
it was a national fascist party.
Not the right wing that as we know
we
of
have
today.
Also fascist party, NPD and all the bullshit. When they say I don't like immigrants,
no, but at that time
it's a criminal act. I think so, but I understand. Okay, he's a fascist.
Yeah, but
at that time, it's nothing new.
At that
it doesn't
time,
surprise me, you know?
Yeah, at that time, those types of politicians were not coming into the parliament as they are today. So it was the the party who's called Venstre, left. Yeah, it's called left, but it is right. It's the party who had Anders Fogh Rasmussen and Lars Løkke Rasmussen. Anyway,
They were in
this
charge
guy,
there a couple years ago.
yeah, they were in charge, and he was the Minister of Justice, and he goes out and says this, not directly quoted, but this is his quote. He says, "I know that I'm well aware of the fact that Hells Angels is not a lot better than the immigrant criminal groups. Both of them are gangs. But that doesn't change on the fact that we have the right to defend ourselves against criminal immigrants." He says that.
It's crazy. It's I don't know what to say.
Which politician goes out and says we? You put yourself in the same
level like
with Hells Angels.
Hells Angels, yeah.
That's what
crazy.
you do.
It's crazy.
And he goes out afterwards and says, "No, that was not what I meant." But you're too late, man.
Yeah,
because that's what I understood.
Mm.
And
yes.
another one. You know what he says? It says, "It's devilly well wrote." What the fuck, man?
Forget about him. I think he chose the wrong job.
It's no.
I think he has to learn a lot.
No,
about...
because it's there's a reason why I want to say this, because it comes in a time where somehow, let's call it a coincidence, police raids our area. 20, 50 cars.
Let me ask.
150 policemen.
But not the area from the Hells Angels.
They don't have an area. They have a club.
Yeah, okay.
So they raid that too. But
yeah.
Look how coincidence it is that they raid our area, empty the whole place from weapons, and as soon as they go out, motorbike comes in and shoots. So look, I'm not saying
shoots against you.
I'm not saying the police as an institution took part, but I can guarantee you
some
this
people
for a fact that many from the police corps were choosing sides here. And that's the problem. The problem is, as I said before, that was my point with the drugs, we have, as a society, and people won't acknowledge this, but it's a fact from my perspective as one who have been there, we as a society have accepted the fact that the gangs is a part of this society. And the way we have done that is we buy their drugs, we apparently choose their side, we listen to their music and give them awards when they rap about killing each other. Oh, I killed him and then I peed on his grave and his mama cries and I make her suck my dick. Oh, here, take an award. That was a good song, my friend. On a national TV, taxpayers are paying this.
But let's stop here.
I want to say one last thing about this. Because it's important in the context of what we were speaking about. It was the point I wanted to come back to. Jan Junke.
Yeah.
He's
not a member anymore, by the way.
Yeah.
After 40 years, it's absolutely crazy. They kicked him out.
But you asked
out
me
of
why.
bad standing.
Yeah, you asked me why he made that manifest.
Yeah.
And why it's in the context of gangster rap. And why it's a problem. It's the same Jan Junke did when he made his book.
Yeah.
It was not because it was his intention. I don't think so. But the problem with his book and the way the media hyped him, glorified him, made him some big shot. There is a video still today where a journalist asks a young boy.
Yeah, I saw it. I have the intro.
Yeah.
He was a signature.
You ask him why. He's a murderer.
Murder.
He's like, yeah, so what? It shows how sick, not how sick the society is, but how we have a sickness in the society.
Yeah, but
I know
I
it's
don't
not
think
that
it's sick. It's very zynisch, we would say in German. But I think
we have a problem.
Yeah, it's a
with
problem,
this.
but we don't weight it too much in this case, because I know it. I was part of it, and I know it to this day. Forbidden things, also for the children, also for the grown-up people, are very tasty.
Yeah.
And they want to taste it, to know it. It's they want to how I want to get in touch with them. I want to talk about. A lot of people came to me. Now I'm a public person. We're doing the podcast, and people recognize me and coming. Hey, it's crazy. I'm talking about my past and my what's going on in the gang, Hells Angels. And I understand it. It's okay. I want to talk about it, but.
Yeah.
There's some people they like to get in touch with some bad guys.
Exactly.
To get a taste who they are. It's a forbidden thing. I want to touch it. I want to taste it.
Yeah.
This is it. I don't think the guy it's a criminal or wants to be a criminal. He wants to be a taste, gets a taste of it.
Yeah.
So want to talk with him and crazy. I had a contact with him.
But the fact
I understand that it's human. We are human. We are weak.
Yeah.
We are strong. We are sinners. We are everything. We don't get the moral rank too high.
I want to just close it with the fact is that after he made his book, and after he made that Chacal Manifest, Hells Angels had increase in members.
I know. It's a promo.
So, Jan Junge makes his book. It actually makes Hells Angels
bigger because the media pushes it. Then people will ask, I say to the party, make your own opinion, macht eure eigene Meinung über diese ganzen Geschichten und ich denke, jeder sollte sich seine eigene Meinung bilden, wie man durchs Leben läuft. This is it. I don't want to. Yeah, it's crazy. We have the same opinion on that.
Yeah, but it is.
But let us go away from Junke. He's I think he's he did his own way, and he's an old man, and he had a regret or not. I don't know. Maybe I get him in the podcast. We can talk about that. But let us go to the end. After all the wars, killings, and sadness in this life and in this in your story, you step out from it. Because you don't want it anymore, like me. Something happened, or a lot of things happened. It's a process to step in. It's a process to step out. I have the same experience. It's a process. Everything is a process in life. Also this, and you step out and have a new life. So let us go there, because you were very successful in Denmark. You wrote a book. You made a very, very, nice movie. It was in the cinemas. You played a role, and you find a new way to the new path to get lucky. You have family. So when you step out from the gang and said, "It's enough, man. I don't want to kill anymore. I want to hear about killings. I want to not shootouts. I want fuck all that." Yeah, it was actually while we were still in conflict with Hells Angels, something happened, and suddenly the events took a quick turn in the other direction, and the choice I had not that long before about we could either go to war against each other, or we could make an alliance and go to war against this group that wanted to hurt us. So I said, no, let's go this way. And suddenly the events just turned and went back. And we were back suddenly in a big conflict against each other. And not only inside the group. Not inside our group, but the immigrants, the alliance. Okay. The alliance, the alliance between us and the other part of the neighborhood suddenly got broke out violently, and
And then we started shooting at each other. And there I was like, this was not it. I never wanted to be a gang member, you know? I only joined this conflict because I had my reasons for it. I was manipulated.
Something happens. Some things happened. I understand it.
Yeah. And then not only that, suddenly we were in conflict with this group, and then another group, and then a little bit with bandidos, and then another new biker group came to Denmark.
Gremium, Gremium?
Yeah, Gremium too, and then a fourth, and then a fifth, and at one point we were in conflict with 5 different groups at the same time. Not high conflict like shooting 5 and 1. It's not like a world war, but there was a conflict between us and 5 groups on the same time. Although maybe 2 of them were a little bit low-key, only a couple of, sometimes happens a little bit here and there, while the others were like high, and then this turns down, and then this goes up. It was like that. So it was on and off conflicts for years. And I was like,
You're tired
at
of
that
this.
moment, very fast actually, I was like, this is not what I want. This is not what I want to do the rest of my life. But I just couldn't manage to see a way out. It was hard for me to imagine me getting out of this, because when people started dying, I started to tell myself, you're in it. You know, you're never going to get out of this. Because when blood is getting shed, it's a lot harder to wash it out. You know, when the police, the technicals, when there is a murder scene, I don't know, you probably know it. I don't know if others know it. Sometimes some guy kills his wife or something, and he tries to like wash it away. He, in effect, kills someone and tries to wash the blood. If the police comes, even if you have washed it with bleach and chemicals and I don't know what, they come with some kind of light. It shows there has been blood here, because you can't wash it away. It's kind of beautiful how that's actually how it is in the minds of people too. When blood is falling, you can't just wash it out.
Traumatized.
You can't just wash it out,
Yeah.
because hatred and
You get a trauma.
bloodthirst,
Yeah.
not the trauma, the hate, the revenge. I want revenge. When you kill somebody want to revenge him. He has a brother, he has a father, he has somebody who wants. It's not that easy unless it's a nobody in the group, you know? And when people started to drop, I thought, shit, man, there's no way out. But I was really lucky, because, long story short, suddenly there was made peace here, peace there, peace there, peace there. And then the only thing I can say officially is that we had a little issues internally before, alhamdulillah, that stopped before it turned to too much blood too. And we were split up in small groups in brothers. And the part I was a part of, most of them got in jail and got thrown out of the country, and some of them died. And it felt, from my own personal view, that God himself like plucked them all away from me. And it's important, which I've wrote a book too, you know, and I've spoken a couple of books too. And there's a point that I haven't got into now, which is important for me. I've been raised by a single mom the most of my life. And since I was a little kid, my mom always wanted me to be a great Islamic profile. You know, not the Islam the media
Fundamentalistic.
tries to manipulate
Yeah,
people to
fundamentalistic
understand.
and
The real
sick
Islam, you
view.
know, be fair, be a good man, not lie, not steal, not kill, not all that.
Go to work, pay your taxes,
Yeah.
do not criminal things.
And that had something inside of me all the way through the gang. And it's actually the thing that hurts the most, because I actually knew what I did was wrong, and that it was in contrast to what I was believing and what I was raised to. And sadly, it was like every time I was about to take a huge move away from Islam and from society too, there was a little voice inside of me telling me, "Are you sure you want to do this?" And I pushed it away. Because I know for a fact there's a lot of guys who are Muslims. Islam doesn't feel so much, so they don't have it. They just forget about it and go and be criminals. In my case, it was a problem, and I'm having trouble actually forgiving myself, because it's almost every single time I knew what I was doing was wrong, and I had a voice in me telling me,
But you put
"Don't
the
do
voice by
this."
side. I had the same.
But I did it. I did it in purpose. Like I'm choosing this.
Yeah.
I'm choosing this well knowingly that it's wrong. But alhamdulillah, this voice actually won at last. And even though the right wings in Denmark and maybe even here in Germany won't like this, I can guarantee you one thing. If I wasn't a Muslim, I think it would have been harder for me to leave that. And it's because for me, it has always been all the actions I commit in this world, I am going to be judged. So even though a lot of stuff I have made in this world, I got out cheap. I've never been convicted for anything big. Never. I have never been convicted for even a gang activity. All my convictions have been small things, you know, a fight in the city, and the biggest times I have been in jail has been in, for example, attempted murder. But I got out. They couldn't find evidence and left me. And then a big weapons case too. They also left me because they hadn't. So I was lucky, but I know that all the things I did that I never got caught from, I am going to be judged by it someday. And that thing had something in me, and it won at last.
When you leave the gang with no bad. Nobody came to us. You came to you and said you can't leave. You can't leave. You leave it. You let it. And a lot of guys, a lot of friends, brothers, you can call it whatever you want, were in jail at the time.
Yeah, and
And
it's
you
also,
said it. Yeah, and you said, so I'm going now. So you leave the.
no, I
the
never
gang.
told anybody. I never told anybody. Like I never called anybody and said I want to go. There's a thing about brothers that we haven't got into. There was no hierarchy on the same way that you come from. We didn't have a president. We didn't have a sergeant at arms. We didn't have sergeants and generals. It was really, that's why we called ourselves brothers, because the name were supposed to like show the structure of our brotherhood. Because, of course, there was unofficial hierarchy. understood by that is if you got respect on the street, then people respect you. And if you can get people to do what you want them to do, then you can get people to do what they want them to do. But there was no line between if he gives you orders, you have to do it.
Okay, it's a totally different organization structure.
Totally.
Because it's from the street, from the bottom, you are from a lot of young guys.
Yeah.
It's different, no long-time organization history.
And we wanted to be in contrast to Hells Angels.
Yeah, it's crazy.
We wanted to be the opposite of what they were.
But something happened after that. We talked about that. After you leave the gang, maybe you can talk about on cam. You talk about for the Danish situation very transparently about the situation in Denmark, your experience, the gangs, and some people, very professional. I think this is the reason I contact you and you are here. But they tried to harm you. They tried to kidnap you. You saw some pictures. You had fight. You fight it against them to kidnap you on the street. Something happened. It's just you don't. It's not. You don't have like me. It's a different situation, but a regular, normal situation. You have to be careful. You have to be. You live in the same neighborhood as the back in the days. All this stuff happened. You have family. And the guys, they don't like to be,
I don't know who.
Talk.
I have actually not talked about this because it happened most recently.
Yeah.
It's not even a couple of weeks ago. I were attacked in front of my mom's house. I don't know what they wanted.
They had a mask on.
They had mask on, and one of them were wearing gloves, and he was trying to reach for something, and I just grabbed his hand and did everything I could for him.
It was not random. It was especially you. They searched for you. They want something from you.
I think so.
Yeah.
I don't know. They didn't say my name. And look, I don't know if they wanted to kill me, but I'm pretty sure they didn't, because if they were there to kill me, I can't seem to make sense why they just didn't shoot me. So I'm pretty sure they wanted to kidnap me or something, but I don't know for sure. And I don't know who did it and why they did it, or if it was me they were after, but I'm pretty sure it is, for some reasons I can't say. I haven't spoke about this officially, and the only reason I'm commenting on it is it's because it's not coming to Denmark, this one.
Yeah.
But the other reason is also that this is not the first time. I have been jumped before a couple of times actually. Sometimes have not been that big. Twice have been brutal. This was most definitely one of the most brutal ones I have experienced so far.
Last one.
Yeah, the last one. And a couple of quickies, if you know what I mean. And I've chosen not to publish it for many reasons, but I've actually come to the conclusion, not the conclusion, but the thoughts of actually talk about it in the public in Denmark. But I'm not so sure yet. But yeah, that's why I'm saying. But the point with it is, yeah, there is consequences, and I don't know if it's my own friends, it's my old friends, it's my enemies, if it's somebody who thinks I make a lot of money and want to make some money on me, or someone who wants to kill my character because
kill your voice,
kill my voice, wants me to shut up. But the area where it happened wasn't in my hood.
Okay.
My mom lives a little bit away. She lives in Ama. So I went down actually maybe a little over a week ago and met some guys there. And I told them if I asked if it were them, they said no. It's not us.
Of course, they didn't say.
That's what I say.
You know how they work. It's
but they were
ridiculous
like, we swear it's not us, and we have no issue with you. Why would we do it? And if it was us, we would have completed it. So if it didn't work out the first time, we would have come back after you. And I was like, okay, look, I want to know, because one thing is for a fact, money I'm never gonna pay. I want to die. Let me die, and I'm not gonna pay, even if it's 500 krona, which is 70 euros.
7 euros.
70.
70. Okay.
Because it's you don't pay. It's another thing. If I did something to harm somebody's material things, then I'll gladly pay to get it back, you know. But this, you got an issue, or you got hurt, or you think I spoke out. Another thing I said was, when I get attacked, I feel it's an attack against my family, against my children. Somebody want to hurt my children's father, and I'm gonna do whatever it takes. I'm not saying I'm a hero. I'm not saying I'm a big shot, but
of course. You have the right to protect you, to defend yourself, but it makes no sense when 8 to 7 guys come after you. It's ridiculous to think about you can fight against them. I think to run away is the best thing in this situation, you know?
Yeah, I'm not gonna take up a gang fight, but I'm not in a mood of fleeing. Understand me right. I fought for those streets. I did my time. I not in prison, but I have a lot of people from my old times. Yeah, they went to prison in a lot more time than I did. But I promise you this: I would rather have gone to prison than deal with the stuff I deal with now. The trauma, the nightmares, the physical trauma on my body. So if you ask me today, yes, I'm glad that I have been free for so much and for so many years. But looking back, I would have chosen to take my time and be a normal person today. So I think I did even though you know it, brother, they will never acknowledge your sacrifices and that's the problem with this milieu. As soon as you step out, even if you have killed 20 people, they will say you never did anything. Who were you?
Man, listen. They kicked. We talked. I say it again. We are getting close to the end, but I will try it and say it again. They kicked one of the famous, powerful Hells Angels in Europe, Jörgen Liedsen. He stabbed. He was 16 years in jail for them. He did every bullshit you can do in this life for the club. He was 40 years member. They kicked him out. Not they kicked him out like a normal guy. He kicked him out like ultimate standing. You have the same status like I have. It's totally ridiculous. So when they kick a guy like him out of the club and said, we don't give a shit about you. So what do you think everybody have the possibility to kick out from the club. No one is safe. No one is a hero. No one is this guy or this guy, that guy. They're shackles in the club, in the street, in the gangs, and all this. You know, everybody's waiting for his moment, for this own moment. Let us go to your second life. What are you doing now? You wrote a book. You made a very nice movies on Netflix called the name Underworld.
I think it's called Darkland in English. Darkland. I'm in the sequel. So there is a Darkland 1. I am in the second one.
Okay, but it's a movie, yeah?
Yeah, it is a blockbuster movie.
Yeah, crazy.
And I made some short movies too. Actually, there is one now. You can watch it on YouTube with subtitles where I play a policeman.
Crazy.
That's one of the projects I like a lot.
But I think the Netflix movies It's crazy.
That was a
it's
crazy. That was
yeah.
a couple millions, budget.
Yeah.
The other one is a small movie
Yeah.
where I play a policeman. It's called Patrol. If you write Patrol on YouTube, it comes up with me as a policeman. And I made one of the first projects I was in. It's called My Enemy's Brother, where I play this second in command of the gang who got to jail, and when he got out, he made a deal with the prison to go to the military. But when he wanted to go from prison to the military, he make his little brother pick him up and drop him off at the military. He spot that his little brother, is being recruited by the criminals, and then he fights with them. It's also a short movie, but at that movie, I actually won a prize. I won a prize of the best male actor.
Denmark.
Yeah, not in professional. Unprofessional actors. It doesn't
short
matter.
Movie. It's an honor.
But it was against.
You didn't learn to act on school and acting school, and it was studied.
And it was
crazy.
And it was against 3 big
artists as
actors in Denmark.
Crazy.
And one unprofessional as me, right?
I saw the one guy. He's also acting in your movie. He's a very famous guy in Denmark and also famous in Germany.
Yeah,
I don't remember the name, but he's playing in the movie.
He's the Pact.
Der Pact in Netflix, German name. He's playing with a role with I don't know the actor from Southpaw, the boxing movie with 50 Cent. Not Ryan Gosling, Ryan Reynolds. Not Ryan Reynolds.
No, Jake Gyllenhaal.
Jake Gyllenhaal.
Yeah,
it's crazy. It's crazy and nice to see you on this step.
Yeah, he's a big guy.
He's a big guy, but he also did it very far in the industry.
And he's a really cool person. I like him a lot.
Yeah,
his name is Dar Salim.
Yeah. Crazy. And wrote a book.
Yeah.
It's very famous, very successful. 2 years ago, launched it. And
yeah, it is 2 pot books, actually. It's another way of making books. It's like we're talking right now. A journalist sits and asks me questions.
I'm not a journalist, but I understand.
Yeah, no, this is the format. And a journalist, not you, but a journalist asks me questions from the beginning. And sometimes I start, go right and left as we did in this episode, where we go too far. But what they did is they cut it down to a timeline from the beginning to the end. And it's 2 books, one in how I grew up and got into the gang, and one how we started the conflicts with this and that, and how I got out, and how I lived after the gang. These 2 books that I spoken with my own words, it's not like we wrote it down and then I spoke it. It's just like raw material, like now. That's why I call it a pot book. They were written down to a really book now. So we made the pot books 2 years ago, and this June they published a real book where a journalist wrote it down. The things that I said.
Okay, it's totally different.
So it's 3 books.
Okay, crazy.
But it's the same story, if it makes sense.
Okay. It's where is this book available? On Amazon?
The book, I actually don't know, but it's
really?
Danish.
Okay, it doesn't matter.
But
maybe some our viewers can translate it.
But I know there's
wait a second. Can translate it in ChatGPT in German, or some guys understand, or girls, or people are looking at us understand Danish. We packen when you send me a link. Where is the book available? We put the book under the video, and the people can, if they want, buy it and support you. Also the other things, and we're at the end of the episode, my friend.
Yeah,
it was a very tough ride and dive into your story and the Danish war stories. It was a premiere to have you here. I have 2 last questions. Do you think Hells Angels, Bandidos, and all this motorcycle clubs, especially this, you have your own experience, are normal, regular motorcycle clubs?
No, I wouldn't say that. I wouldn't say that. Maybe it has been once, but I wouldn't look at it. Especially today, it's actually it's actually quite funny because my way into the gang land was because of the conflict against Hells Angels and its support group. And today in Denmark, it's funny how this conflict, let me start over. The conflict started because there was like a conflict between one of the biggest motorcycle clubs in Denmark and a couple of, upcoming immigrant gangs. The tragic part is now that most of them, if not all, the immigrant gangs are dead now. Brothers doesn't exist. This one doesn't exist. Nobody exists, and most of them has actually taken a vest on, one way over the other. So some of them,
let me finish this.
Yeah.
You can put your own words also on it. And I had the same experience. Killers getting friends. He killed his friend, his brother. After that, he patched over. Now he's their friends and all this bullshit. It's very sick. But we also have young people looking at our podcasts, and the prevention work is a very serious thing for me to do that. I make it also. I think you'll make it in Denmark also. Talk to the people and to prevent them to join gangs and doing this bullshit life, sick life. And do you think your time in this brotherhood was a real brotherhood? When you talk honestly about it, it was a brotherhood, or was it just a criminal thing that people lost each other in this life and nobody cares about it? People get killed and nobody took responsibility and switch all this bullshit.
I think that deep down there is a real intention of an imaginary picture of brotherhood in most of the guys who are in this. So people want to be a part of a brotherhood. People want the love. People want
to be somebody,
to be acknowledged with people,
to be accepted as a person,
be accepted and be with the people who are like-minded. But in the end, there's two facts that is important. One is most of these groups, mine too, was centralized around criminal activity. Unfortunately, it's not like brothers were like we used to say that, and we wanted to tell ourselves that we were just defending ourselves against Hells Angels, but Hells Angels would never just come out of the blue and start shooting at schoolboys or fruit dealers. It's not like we were just watching ourselves and they just started shooting at us. It's because we were criminals and we wanted to take a part of their market, piece of their cake, or what it's called. So yeah, it was the criminal, and every piece, every member, no matter where in the world you are. When you go to the bank and want to take a loan, there's a word on Danish. It's kreditvurderet.
Kreditvurderet.
Yeah.
Okay.
It's like we see how your credit is. We make an assessment of how your ability to pay back the loan is. And it's the same in this milieu, where the money and the payback is violence. So we'll give you a loan will give you a vest, a name, a place, a back, will help you, will support you. But it depends on your willingness to pay back to us, to the group, to the club, in violence or money. Right? That's basically it.
Well, I have a question. I ask every guest on my podcast about this. Every guest is a special guest, and you are very, very special, the special one. Jürgen Klopp would say, and it's a famous soccer trainer. After all that, Abud, my friend, does crime pay off?
No. It should say it. It should be something that's the question answer itself. In the end, as I said, I can state it out again. I've been left back with trauma, a lot of friends dead, a lot of people hating me, a lot of people wishing me dead, a body who's fucked up. If you look at me, people look at me on the street and see muscles, you know. I'm genetically lucky. I don't work out that much. So people think that I go to the gym and I'm in really good shape. But I'm really messed up physical because of my discs in the back and my knee that's fucked up and stuff like that. But the trauma and the fact that I can't live with the thought of what I did to my family. I took a chance that my mom should stand over my grave and cry and not have a son. After what? You have a kid, you have kids, I have kids. I would be so disappointed if my son someday just like showed me that all my efforts in doing all I can to make him have a good life is just pissed on. Like, fuck you and your work, Baba. That's what I did to my mom. That's what I did to my dad. That's what I did to my kids. I was willing to make my kids grow up without a father. The thing I'm so angry against my own father to do. And I'm very gonna my temper. I was even worse because I was willing to let my kids see their father dead. I was willing to let my kids visit their father in prison. I was willing to do so much. And the fact that even though I was love you, I can let go of the fact that even though 5 years have passed, 10 years have passed, there's still a mother. There's still a lot of mothers out there. And that would the kid that our sons got. Yeah.
So, Freunde, das war eine starke Folge, wie alle anderen auch, aber diesmal war sie sehr speziell, weil sie A, auf Englisch war und zweitens das erste Mal international mit einem Gast, der ja mehr als was zu erzählen hatte, mehr als nur erlebt hat, sondern wirklich ja diese ganze roughe Scheiße, die da passiert, miterlebt hat. Ich bin froh, dass wir ihn einladen konnten. Lasst ein Like da, kommentiert und teilt. Schön, dass ihr eingeschaltet habt. Bis zum nächsten Mal und supportet weiter, damit wir weiterhin triggern, damit wir weiterhin so coole Gäste haben können und ja, Special Guest euch präsentieren können. Also, bleibt sauber, Peace und Kriminalität nimmt sich nicht euer Kaiser. Peace.